Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
I love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
This one's special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Schedule's out.
Yeah.
We knew the schedule. We just didn't know the schedule.
Yeah. Well, we knew the teams on the schedule. We just didn't know how they were going to be arranged, right?
All right. So we're going to talk about it and just thinking about it, just the opponents, before we go into where it's placed. And knowing that the same schedule is basically flipped, how difficult of a schedule is it?
Let's pretend that we know that A&M is going to be just better this next year. I'm not saying great. I'm just saying better than they were this year.
Does better mean more wins?
Well, it should, because I would have a hard time believing Texas is going to be as good as they were last year. I'm going to have a hard time believing that Missouri is going to be as good, or LSU.
LSU, they're not losing much.
Will Campbell, I don't know how you take that guy off, and and I don't want them to make any. Probably Kyron Lacey.
Yeah,
I don't want them to take guys off their defense.
Right.
I want their defense to stay intact. Now I was hoping that
their defense played against A&M pretty well for a half. Yeah. Or was that A&M?
Yeah. So I would like for the tight end from LSU to go into the draft, but the word is he's staying there.
Yep.
And he's a good one. So I just look at what teams are losing.
So we'll go through the actual schedule here in a second. But Notre Dame, they'll lose Riley Leonard, but they seem to fill a quarterback every year.
They look at somebody in the ACC.
Yeah.
They still a quarterback from the ACC.
So they should be about the same, right?
Maybe.
They'll lose a couple guys on the defense.
I can't see how they'd be better on defense, but possibly on offense, because, again, we talked about how their offensive line was all a bunch of young guys this year, and then it turned out to be pretty good.
So we'll call it a push, I don't know what, Notre Dame, TBD.
I think you would have to go, as of today, you'd have to project that Notre Dame, and if you had to say W or L, you'd have to say L.
Okay.
They beat you here, now it's going to be at their place.
Auburn, they're going to be better, but it's here.
Are they?
I think they're going to be better. Yeah, I do.
See, I see Auburn being about the same, and they did beat A&M, but shouldn't have. But
I think they're going to be better.
I don't know why I would think Auburn will be better.
I think because they have a lot of young talent.
Did I hear Cam Coleman was in the?
He's in the portal, or he was going to go in the portal.
See, if that's the case, right there, that they're not as good. But okay,
I think they'll be better. But I think
is the Lambert Smith going to still be there? The guy
I think he's going.
See, to me, the strength of their team was their receivers.
Mississippi State,
Hunter.
Yeah, Mississippi State better or worse? Doesn't matter.
Worse.
Yeah. They lost Van Buren.
Van Buren's in the portal. That's the best thing you got going.
Craven's a movie.
Yeah.
Florida, they'll be better. I'm not saying against A&M. I'm just saying. No. Yeah.
I'm saying. Well, see, here's what I got to do. We got to wait until we see who goes in the portal and who goes in the draft.
But as of today,
I
would assume that them to be better. Maybe their record doesn't reflect it because they have the same schedule.
And I got to remind myself what year, like a guy like Martrell Johnson was.
You're right.
But I tell you this, Florida got better as the season went on, and I really do like the quarterback.
Lagway is going to be probably better. Arkansas, I don't know. The difference is that game, if we're talking about that game, it's in Fayetteville, so that is a different animal. I don't know if they're better or worse. I don't know.
Probably about the same.
LSU, we've already said.
You know what? LSU, I'll say this. To probably the same. Let's see who they get in the portal. But unless they make a huge move in the portal, why somebody would have to tell me why their defense is going to be better, because that's where they lose. And then Nussmeier is a capable quarterback, but his whole career tells you that he's going to throw interceptions.
Yep. And again, we can go through on the road, at home here in a moment, because going to Baton Rouge is a different animal as well. Missouri, they're going to be worse. Unless they strike, as of today, they're like A&M. Like, you could look at A&M today, if you're doing this same show in another market, be like, they can't be better. They lost Nick Scorton, Shamar Stewart. Le'Veon Moss is coming back from an injury. We don't, like, if you're doing this show elsewhere, I could see them making the same arguments. We have the intel of what it looks like they're going to add, but as of today, I could see how a team elsewhere would say they're going to be worse.
Unless they were really looking at that productivity of that defensive line in the second half of the season.
South Carolina,
I don't think they're going to be as good, because I don't think their defense. I think Kyle Kennard is going to be in the draft. Tonka Hemingway is going to be in the draft. Maybe that safety, who's only a junior with the long name, was so good. I would be surprised if he doesn't get in the draft, because I always say what I say about Scorton. If you get an extra year beyond the third year, consider it a bonus, but you should just go in assuming that they're going to go.
Right.
I don't think South Carolina will be as good defensively. Look, they'll still have Lenore Sellers. I think Rocket Sanders is done.
I feel like he's been in college since the 80s.
And maybe they'll get better at receivers. I thought their receivers were pretty mundane.
Texas will probably be worse, but I expect them to replenish. I just don't know if that replenishing is going to do what it did this year, right? Same schedule, by the way. Texas has the same schedule, just flipped, adding Ohio State, much more difficult game to start off than Michigan. I give them that. But now let's kind of look at where it's placed on the schedule. The first month of the season, right, and August 30th through the 27th of September, I mean, you have an opportunity to go undefeated, in my opinion. I know that Notre Dame as of today would probably be a loss based on them beating you and
going back to their place,
right? But of all the months, it's the most winnable month.
Well, yeah,
as you would expect,
you should get off to a fast start, and if you can beat, I'm not saying that you can't beat Notre Dame, especially if your quarterback Marcel Reed makes progress, and you have Le'Veon back there. And you should have beat them this year, quite frankly.
Yep.
But here's my take on Notre Dame. If you couldn't control the line of scrimmage against them last year,
how are you going to control it?
With the defensive lineman you had and the offensive issues that they had in the line, and you couldn't control it last year, why would you next year up at their place?
By the way, an early bye week this year, September bye week. I think this year it was in October, that first bye week.
So there's a bye week before SEC game play starts.
Right. So right before the Auburn game. October, to me, actually, there's the end of October / the beginning of November is scary because you're on the road for 3 straight games. The 18th, the 25th, and November the 8th. At Arkansas, at LSU, at Missouri.
Okay.
You have not won at LSU in forever.
Since 1994, I was there.
Okay. Arkansas, it'll be the first time to go there.
Since you beat them there in 2013.
Yep. And let's see what else. In Missouri, not an intimidating atmosphere. We'll see how Drink replenishes losing Luther Burden and Brady Cook.
And Theo Weiss. And I just think they're going to not be as good. But you still got to go up there and play and win. So, hey, it's not supposed to be easy. It's the SEC. It's not supposed to be easy.
You close out the year, South Carolina at home, Samford at home, and then at Texas.
Yeah. You have Mississippi State at home.
So this schedule with this year's team, 8-14?
Yeah, well, I mean, this schedule.
This one.
This year's
this schedule.
Yeah, but I mean, is it really that much different?
It's the same schedule, except you're flipping where the games are.
Utah State and UTSA.
And also where you're playing the games. To me, that is a factor. So South Carolina, as we know, being a difficult place to play, it'll be here. Auburn, difficult place to play, it'll be here. Notre Dame. I don't know if it's a difficult place to play, but it's their home. They're going to be top 10 team when you go there.
Yeah, it wasn't difficult for Northern Illinois.
This is true.
If A&M improves, if A&M is a better team, and it could be, Naboo could be back in the lineup. But let's see if Reed Adams is coming back. Let's see if Trey Zune's coming back. If
Marcel Reed should be better next year. Should be.
I would hope, but I assumed that was going to be the case for Connor this year.
Yeah.
So, if any place knows not to take anything for granted, it's A&M. But yes, I liked what I saw from Marcel. I thought he made progress, but he never took the giant leap.
Okay. The LSU game was the leap, and then we just didn't see it replicated after that, because that was a huge leap the second half. And he only threw 2 passes.
Right. That's where I'm going to get back at. He threw 2 passes.
So
maybe Colin Klein needs to take a giant leap.
I think the running backs will be similar to this year.
Oh, I think they're going to be better.
Hopefully better, yeah.
Yeah, I do.
But, I mean, my TBD on it is because the injury of Le'Veon, I want to see how he comes back, and I want to see how Reuben Owens comes back, okay? But let's call it the same or better, right? Running back, the same or better?
Yeah, I
fair.
think. Yeah.
Wide receiver is going to be better next year, OB. I don't know who they're going to pick in the portal. I know they're talking to Micah Hudson, and there's others expected to come visit. In my heart, I believe the wide receiver group, based on just the kind of conversations that we're having on the boards that Bronny's reporting and Billy's reporting of the type of caliber of players that they're going after, they've got to nail it. They've got to finish it. But I think they'll be better.
Yeah, well, you got to keep Noah, because I guarantee you teams are going to be coming after Noah.
Yep.
And quite frankly, are you going to decide that Bussey's a receiver? Because they wanted him to be a DB at first.
Right.
So I tell you what, if you could get, say, a Micah Hudson and keep Noah, I kind of like the idea of Hudson, who I understand is a really fast guy, of Hudson, Bussey, and Noah
Thomas, yeah. And if you can get another
guy,
you get
Isaiah Satania.
Or a speedster right there.
A speedster. Or,
his dad is on campus, by the way.
Or there are others, and I'm not thinking of right now, that are even more highly regarded than Satania. The kid from North Carolina State, Concepcion.
Yeah. Who I think it's going to be hard to get him.
It is.
I think the latest intel with him was Alabama. If he comes to visit, it'll be his last visit. You just better hope he hasn't already wink, wink, committed to elsewhere. So we've got that.
I think there was a guy from Oklahoma.
Yes, yes.
He's from Katy, and I can't think of his name. Nick Jones?
No, it's not Nick Jones. It's
Jonas.
No,
he's not one of those guys.
Nick, remind us the name. It's the
Savage.
No, it's not Nick Savage. The Oklahoma wide receiver that's going
Nick
on the
Anderson.
Anderson, there
former Katy Tiger.
Yeah,
Nick Anderson.
Okay, just like the one who played for the Orlando Magic
out of Illinois.
Yeah. Nick the Brick. Why do they call him Nick the Brick?
I don't know how I knew he was from Illinois.
Do you remember why they called him Nick the Brick?
I would assume because he doesn't shoot well.
There was a 1995 NBA Finals back in the day. The Orlando Magic had a chance to beat the Houston Rockets in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. He missed not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 consecutive free throws in the closing minutes. The Rockets come back on the next possession, and I think it's Clyde Drexler takes a bad drive shot, and Hakeem pops it in for the win.
Yeah, it's probably rooting for the Magic.
Yeah, well, that's why you keep losing with your Dallas Cowboys, because of that. The Magic left. Anyway, so defensive line, I can't say it'll be better right now. I cannot say. I hope it's better, right? Because the production at the end of the year was not there.
Right.
But as of today, I can't say it will be better.
No, because we don't know what we got, especially at the ends.
Linebacker.
I think the interior defensive line could be as good or better.
Yep. Linebacker, same or better.
Same or better, yeah.
Cornerbacks, same or better.
Yeah, I would expect them to be the same or better.
Special teams. We've never graded special teams.
I would take the same right now.
I would take the same from our kicker and our punter. I would like more from our kick return and our punt return team.
Okay.
Agree or disagree?
Well, I can't really remember. I think Bussey on punt returns, you think that there's this...
If I remember correctly, he his best kick return was against Auburn, and he took it
that was a
midfield
kickoff,
before kickoff. He took it to midfield, and then it was the end of the. I mean, if that could have just happened a little bit earlier, we'd have been setting up for a field goal to win. But
yeah, special teams was better this year.
Anyway,
safety's got to be better.
Got to be better
because I think the safety play was disappointing.
It was.
Started out okay, and I think it deteriorated.
All right. By the way, this is TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations, and currently we are in the Holistic Planning Cool Zone, where they do what, Obi?
They got to help you with investments, including investing in pro sports.
Yeah.
Tax time's coming up.
It's here.
And estate planning.
Yeah. And investinprosports.com is the website if you want to invest in a pro sports franchise. Call us up at 979-693-1150. We'll pick it up on the Boss Firearms hotline, or you can text us as well. We go around the room. We say hi to the people. We go behind the glass and say hi to the Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
How are you, man?
I'm good. Good morning. The new schedule, or next year's schedule, I should say. Just initial thoughts on it. I like the fact that we get 3 home games in a row.
We're starting a day earlier than last year.
Yeah. Pretty much every game's like a day earlier than it was this past year. But what scares me is those 3 straight road trips, and it kind of sucks because you're not back home. Your last home game for a while is on October 11th, and you don't get another one till November 15th. I remember a couple of years ago, the same thing happened. It was like a month gap in between games at Kyle Field. So that isn't the best.
I ain't scared.
Yeah, I'm not scared either. Yeah.
What you just said, what scares you?
Well, for the team, it doesn't scare me personally because I'm not
if
playing.
You're good, it doesn't matter where you're playing.
I agree.
The word is if you're good. Okay. If you're a tweener, it should scare you.
Well, then get good.
Get good, yeah. Hit that weight room. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Matthew Dawson is in the house. Been a minute. Matthew?
It has been a little bit. We got a pretty big weekend for Texas A&M sports. I mean, tomorrow we got Texas A&M volleyball squaring off in the Sweet 16 versus number 7 Wisconsin in Lincoln, Nebraska, 6 p.m. So make sure you're tuning in for that. I mean, after beating Colorado State, Arizona State, they're playing against a pretty good program that, since Coach Kelly Sheffield is his name, took over in 2013, 4 Final Four appearances, 2 runner-up finishes, and a national championship, which happened in 2021, so pretty recent. And this is a rematch of the first loss that Texas A&M volleyball took this season back in September 21st when Wisconsin won in 3 straight sets. But the sets were pretty close. It was 25-18, 30-28, and 25-19. So I think Texas A&M is playing a lot better volleyball now than they maybe didn't
the Aggies lose their first match against Texas?
I thought they beat Texas this year.
They beat Texas this year for the first time.
Was there not? Okay, so it was a rematch from last year because they played Texas last year, and so they had a rematch and won.
Yes.
Just saying.
In Texas. And Jamie Morrison was just here on Tuesday, and he said they earned the right to get that, because I think he was talking about the second set in that one. They wish they could have that one back. That was the 30-28 one.
30-28, yeah.
Yeah. He talked about, like, they've earned the right to come back and give it to him. So let's get it done. He's been so master. And by the way, do you know a little bit of everything?
Do I know a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, because like the way you spoke about volleyball, there was so much clarity and so much information. And coach, like, what do you not know?
He is a genius.
Well, I wrote stuff down. Believe it or not.
Who did the score for Batman Begins and The Dark Knight?
The score?
The score.
Would that be Prince?
No.
Oh,
Hans Zimmer.
Thank you, Nick. Did you know that really?
Yeah.
Hans Zimmer.
Isn't that the guy that was the bad guy in Die Hard?
Hans and Franz. No, you're talking about that's the show that you started on, lifting weights.
Anyway, he knows these things because he's a genius. I got to say nice things about him. His mom's on my back. Susie thinks I'm too mean to him.
Well, you got to
make fun of him being short.
Here's another one, just because I want to see if you don't know things.
All right. I don't know things.
What movie is Axel Foley from?
I have zero clue.
Beverly Hills Cop.
I don't know things. Sorry.
All right, what movie is Reggie Hammond from?
No clue.
He didn't follow.
So y'all look at me.
48
y'all make
hours.
me look stupid now. It's
no,
like,
I just want to see, like, at least you don't know 80s movie pop culture.
Do you know Billy Ray Valentine?
Nope.
Capricorn?
Nope. Good try.
Another
good try.
Another Eddie Murphy. The best one, by the way.
It actually might be harder to.
What's the first Tom Cruise movie you can think of? Not named Top Gun.
Well, Mission Impossible.
Okay, very good. He said think of. So there's no wrong answer.
There's no wrong answer. Okay. All right. I just wanted to see if you, because it feels like every time you have a knowledge of a topic, you can go deep into the topic.
I would have thought he said risky business.
There's no chance he'd watch Risky Business.
With Chicago background. Looks like University of Illinois.
That was the second movie that I thought of, believe it or not.
What's your favorite scene in that movie?
The underwear scene, of course.
You know?
No, but I do know the movie Risky Business. That was like, besides whatever's, wasn't that like one of his breakout movies?
That was his break. Well, that and what's the name of the movie where like the war?
Taps.
Is it Taps?
Taps.
Was that it?
Where he's in a school, a military school.
Yeah, is it called Taps?
I think so. Taps.
I don't know.
Timothy Hutton, I think, is in that movie.
Yeah, a lot of like the whole.
Well, what are we doing here?
I don't know.
All of a sudden we've become.
It's the off season. It's the off season.
Tell us what else you got there, Matthew.
Well, I mean, you guys have been talking about it, but Texas A&M has a pretty big matchup on Saturday.
Yes,
basketball.
Purdue, number 11 team in the country. I mean, just a tiny statistical profile here. Purdue, they're 19th in the country in field goal percentage, 68th in 2-point percentage, 9th in the country in 3-point percentage. That's kind of trouble. A&M on the flip side of that is 275th in the country in field goal percentage, 255th in the country in 2-point field goal percentage, and then 281st in the country in 3-point percentage. The edge in this game, though, comes in the rebounding game.
I think the thing that would be interesting then what is A&M in 3-point defense?
Yes.
I can tell you that right now, actually.
You got to play the team that's like number, 9 in the country in 3-point percentage?
49th in the country in 3-point percentage.
So, see, they're pretty good at guarding the 3-point line. Better be.
A&M offensively is dependent a lot on getting to the free throw line. They're 22nd in the country in free throw attempts per game.
Yes.
Purdue, though, is 36th in the country in fouls. They only foul 15 times a game, which is, seems like a lot, but it's actually not that much.
Matthew, help me out with this. PrizePicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs. A bunch of cool stuff happening right now. What are you working on? Because I know you'll have your show here soon.
Well, I mean, Patrick Mahomes has a free square out right now, so you might as well take it. It's a free win. A free square is what you call it. I mean, you put that in with any of your lineups, and it's immediately going to make it, finance majors, help me out here, positive EV.
Right. So it's like a bingo card having like the star in the middle?
It's like having a free square on your bingo card. That's exactly what it is, OB. So make sure you're signed up with PrizePicks using code TexAgs. If you want to get in on that action with Patrick Mahomes' free square, that's a great way to start. If you've never done PrizePicks before, just start out with a win. Right there.
1,000-time payout is possible too? That's ridiculous.
They just started that, so they used to be like your 5-man and 6-man lineups. You could only do flex plays where it was a laddered payout structure where you only won so much. But now you can go in all or nothing where if you put enough demon high payout, high risk plays, you can get that up to 1,000x. I actually put one in the other day that was paying out 3,000x that I did not win. But
so I just put in open up the account for $25. So I could put it all in, try to figure out a way to win $25,000.
Is that how it works?
That is very much how it works.
PrizePicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs.
Get the $25,000.
You'll get $50 instantly when you use that code TexAgs. Once you play $5 lineups, it's PrizePicks.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Liucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Liucci sent you by.
It's TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. There's a gentleman who tweets at me nothing but negative stuff about TexAgs and about us. And I mean, sometimes he's complimentary, but he did tweet at us that we did split with Texas. So you were correct, OB. The first SEC loss was to Texas here at Reed, but then A&M went there. But I think, I rarely block people. He's about to get the block. I try not to because I don't like that. But I just don't want to see this guy on my timeline.
Because he said I was right?
No. He's just constantly rude. You should see the DMs he sends me, and he'll send me another one at some point. But you know what? I'm gonna keep him around. He can be nice too. Angry Elephant News and Social Center. 2 things for you. All right. One is what we were just talking about at the break. The other one is another pop culture question.
Oh boy.
If you can tell me, where Mrs. Garrett and Mr. Drummond are from, you, my friend, win the day.
Well, I just lost the day significantly.
What you talking about, Willis?
I'll give you another chance.
My mom used to say that, if that tells you anything.
Yeah, what do you think that's from?
Couldn't tell you. Literally could not tell you. My mom used to say that, though, all the time. So if that tells
not
you.
everybody's going to know. They're different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, there's different strokes. You don't.
It's all right.
You still don't know what we're talking about.
No, it's fine. And you know what?
Arnold Jackson? Does that ring a bell?
No,
Isn't he the quarterback at Oklahoma?
Jackson Arnold.
Well, not anymore. But
well, if he was filling it out on a form, he'd probably put Arnold Jackson.
Gary Coleman, does that mean anything to you?
No.
Todd Bridges.
Nope.
This is more fun for me and you than anybody else. The TV show was called Different Strokes. Highly recommended. Great cinema. Great television.
All right. I won't watch it.
You won't?
I won't. I probably won't. I'm just being honest.
Okay. Well, I think you're missing out on one of the greatest shows of history. All right?
All right. Maybe I'll reconsider.
Remind the audience what we were talking about a moment. They don't know. Tell the audience what we were talking about because you had said, and I think OB and you were talking back and forth, SMU, who's in the playoffs, has, I think the word was littered with A&M talent. Well, they have 3 former A&M players, right?
Yeah, and we were also talking about, OB, you brought up the point that a lot of that 2022 class, some of them are elsewhere, out of conference, playing well. A couple of them in the playoffs. At SMU, I mean, you've got LJ Johnson. You talked about Deuce Harmon's having a pretty good year there.
A nice year.
And then PJ Williams was
PJ Williams all ACC.
Yeah, so, I mean, seems like
he's one of 4 guys. PJ Williams was 4 players from that 2022 A&M recruiting class that made all conference.
Who else?
Le'Veon Moss.
Yeah.
And Shamar Stewart. And Walter Nolan.
And then Bryce Foster made.
But he wasn't part of that class.
You're right. He wasn't. He was 21.
He was second team all Big 12 at Kansas.
Yeah.
Good for him. I have my theories on that, but I'll just keep them to myself.
Yeah. Let's go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Any texts you want to get into? Because we're gonna hit a break here to get to Stephen McGee.
Well, we got one texter from, I don't know where they're from, but he said, looking at our schedule, it's hard to imagine we don't have a top 4 to 6 favorable schedule in the conference based on how challenging most others are.
I haven't compared it to others. I don't. I just know that we'll find out in less than a year. So it's impossible to guess right now.
I agree.
But based on brand names, LSU, Notre Dame are brand names, regardless of how LSU did this year. That's a brand name, and going there is very difficult.
I would think that if A&M is a better football team than they were this year, I'm talking about more talented and have fewer flaws, that they have a chance with that schedule to have a very successful year. Also understanding that teams like LSU and Missouri and Notre Dame and everybody else have a chance to get better too. But based on what I saw productivity-wise, the guys at A&M losing, I think A&M losses aren't going to be as dramatic based on the guys based on season-long productivity. And when I say that, I'm like, I wish Shamar Stewart was going to be playing for A&M next year. And I think that'd be better if he was. But he got 1.5 sacks last year. And Scorton was almost a no-show in the second half of the season. And I think like if South Carolina, I would think that they're probably going to miss Kyle Kennard more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Tonka Hemingway, more.
Calvin 1 on the TexAgs page says, Nuño, Mizzou's not an intimidating venue, though the Ags have struggled there as well, like they've struggled on the road for the past 5 years. Mizzou and Angry Ag Engineering 12 says Mizzou is probably one of the least intimidating venues in the SEC. I'd say that it's more intimidating since last time we traveled there with their on-the-field success. To me, the Calvin point is the bigger one. A&M has struggled on the road.
Yes.
Even this year, which they were significantly better, struggled on the road because you lost
their last two.
Lost your last two. And that, to me, is struggling on the road.
And that was, you lost them when great things were within reach. So you had everything to play for and lost.
Yep.
And you, this year, 2025, you have a stretch of over a month where you don't play at Kyle Field at all.
Yeah, I think we're going to be doing a lot of driving to games next year.
Don't put that out in the...
you just got to look and see where they are.
I guess you're going to do a lot of driving, OB.
Come on.
Is that the first thing you look at, OB? Like, when you look at the schedule, like, what is my travel plans?
Not the first, but it comes up pretty soon. I mean, we're going to drive to Austin, obviously. We always drive to Baton Rouge.
Right.
And quite frankly, I probably shouldn't say it.
Yeah, let's not then. Let's go to 1775. Brad and Brandon.
I would drive over there.
It's not far. Would you walk there?
Yeah, I think I would.
I would too.
Yeah, it's
how long
that
do you think
good.
it take? Like,
an
hour, maybe?
An hour?
45 minutes, an hour?
If you're a jogger, you can get there less than an
Are you one of those fast walkers? Those mall walkers?
Yeah, I don't ever do it like that, like you were just doing.
No? Okay.
But before it got real cold, I would get up every morning and walk, and I could walk at a pretty brisk pace. And if I knew
you had 1775
if I knew
waiting
that
for you?
1775 was waiting for me with that succulent barbecue.
I like that word. Good word.
Yeah, succulent, and that sumptuous sausage.
What else can you say?
Oh, the scrumptious, sumptuous, succulent, and scrumptious macaroni and cheese, queso. That's all they're waiting for me. I would probably be walking like you were saying. I'd walk like an Egyptian all the way there.
1775, open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until they're sold out. Online ordering turns off at 10 a.m. 8203 Raymond Stausser Parkway in College Station, 979-492-6241. It's 1775txbbq.com. And we're back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Our QB1 from Paragon Financial, Stephen McGee, is in the house. What's up, man?
Hey, good morning.
Good to see you, bud.
I think I got OB this morning. It was one of my favorite arrests. I don't know if you saw this headline, but it says a 21-year-old and 22-year-old from College Station, Houston area were arrested at Kyle Field at the Texas game with fake credentials on.
Harry and Duncan.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, Harry and Duncan.
Some things are best left a little short. It's a great. I found it hard to believe, but I think it's a legitimate. I think it was a legitimate arrest.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be true. Hey, last time I saw you, we were both in a bad mood.
We were
pissed.
It was a late night.
What for?
Lost our voices.
Yeah.
Why? Why were you mad?
It was after the Texas game, like within 10 minutes after.
Yeah.
Seth was in here. McGee was in here. It was. I'm glad we can not laugh about it, but we could at least turn the page, Stephen. But that's the last time I saw you, man.
Yeah, it's still kind of hard to digest, honestly.
Yeah.
Someone said it really well. It's like, Texas did everything to give us that game. It's like, here's a block punt, here's an interception, here's all these things, and it's just like, no, we're good. We're not going to do anything with it. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of felt that way. You always, it was kind of like the South Carolina game in some regards, where you're there in early in the second half, and you're thinking, here's the opportunity. We're going to go down, score, and we're going to flip the script, and it just never quite happened. And at the end of the day, though, look at it from the lenses of where we were at the beginning of the year. I would say 8-4 was on the good side of my prediction. I thought 7-5, 8-4. Look at the talent of this football team. I think that we're probably an 8-4 football team. I just think we lack a lot of areas that we discussed all year long. And as good as it felt to say, hey, we're atop the SEC, I think reality set in finally, where we're a good football team, but we're not a great football team. I don't think we deserve, obviously, to be in the college football playoff, especially the way we played down the stretch. I think we had too many holes and missing pieces. So,
and injuries added up too.
Injuries added up. Losing Moss was tough. Obviously, the offensive line, we were already it was a question mark going into the year, and then you lose some key pieces. Basantis was binged up. I still don't look at the year as a bad year, though. I think Mike Elko did a phenomenal job putting this team together. Of course. Let's not forget, this time last year, he was scrambling to sign transfer guys.
He didn't have a staff yet, right?
Yeah.
He only had pieces of it.
And so it really is a phenomenal job on his part. I'm a huge Mike Elko fan. Now, that being said, we have a long way to go. We need to get there quickly.
Yeah. OB, you look like you were disagreeing with something? Or?
Yeah, pretty much.
All of it.
Look, I will agree that Mike Elko did a good job putting a team together in a short period of time and having to maybe not have as much time to get into the portal and evaluate guys as he'd like to. Bottom line is, you were in November with a chance to get into the playoff, a great chance.
Yep.
And you could have won at South Carolina if you would tackle guys when you had them in your grasp.
Yep.
You could have won at Auburn catch a pass. Don't drop a snap. Make a tackle. Cover somebody. Don't leave on fourth down. Don't leave everything. Don't drop a pass. You could have won. You could have won at Texas. Intercept a pass that's coming. Make a tackle on a sack where you've got your both hands on the quarterback, and it's not like Lenore Sellers. It's Quinn Ewers, and you don't make the tackle, and he scrambles 26 yards, and you have a safety that can't catch him, and then they go score. So, was Texas a better team? Absolutely. But you had opportunities. When you're not the better team, you have to take advantage of your opportunities. So I'm not going to look at it now and say, like the sour grapes fox, or the fox couldn't get the grapes, so he says, they're probably sour anyway. No, it was there to have a great year. You had the opportunity, and you blew it. And a lot of times, you weren't the better team, but you still had the opportunities, and you didn't take, as bad as they played. The thing at South Carolina, they were terrible in the whole game, but you had the lead after getting down, and then you did stupid things that you did so often to let them get that field goal just before the half and change momentum. And through all that, you're still first down at the 28 with a chance there early in the fourth quarter to pull within either a field goal or a touchdown, and you got the interception. You did things to yourself. There was great opportunities to have a big year. I probably wouldn't even feel this way had you beaten Auburn.
Yep.
But you let it go. So I can't spin it. I can't spin it.
I agree. I'm not trying to spin it. I agree with OB 100%. I think you hit the nail on the head. I love the passion.
Yeah.
Thursday morning. This is good stuff. But I think that's the difference between good and great football teams is they find ways to win those games. We found ways to lose those games. The difference in winning.
That's an 8-4 football team, right?
Yeah,
that's what they do.
Yeah, missing tackles, not making catches. Those are the differences, right? That's what I've said this a long time. The difference between a good quarterback and a great quarterback is the great ones do the little things consistently well. They make the layups, right? Tom Brady, when he has a hot route, he hits the guy in the flat consistently well. He hits the open guy. They go through their reads. They progress. That's the difference between a good one and a great one. But I agree with OB. All that being said, that kind of emphasizes my opinion of Mike Elko. He put this team, and a lot of this comes down to just tackling and fundamentals of football. They were put in a position to succeed.
Yeah.
And I don't think we could say that in years past was there some questionable call? Yeah, I mean, there's always things you're going to want to go back and look from a coaching perspective. It's not perfect, but at the end of the day, this is a team that could have been in the college football playoff with the ability they had. I think, look at the wide receiver position. That's the one I would continuously point to of we don't have a playmaker. Like, this offense does not have a playmaker. Moss was a great football player. I love him. But who's the guy that can change the football game right now on this football team? Not a single guy.
The only guy that I think can is Moss, and he changes it in a
different way.
1986 kind of
Yes, but there's no
way.
speed on this offense, right? You have to have speed. And you look at all the teams that are competing in the college football playoff, they all have one thing in common. They all have speed, right?
Yep.
You got to have that ability that you just can't coach. And I think it's the biggest missing link, and I would be shocked if you don't see them try to address that early in the portal.
No, they're trying to right now. Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
there you go.
They're talking to some names. They're doing a good job of reaching out. We just got to see if they close the deal. Before we hit a break, your thoughts on the bowl matchup with USC? You got two former backup quarterbacks who were inserted into the starting lineup because guys with a lot of praise and a lot of props coming into the season did not meet their potential.
I'm curious your take on this, on bowl games, OB. I'm shocked that these things still exist. The question isn't going to be the quarterback. It's going to be, well, who else is playing?
Right.
And you have all these guys that are going to the draft, which you understand why they're sitting out. It doesn't make sense for them. But who else is transferring and who has the most depth? I mean, you got to almost find ways to get through the game. There's probably going to be a lot of walk-ons playing, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I understand from a coach's perspective, they want to have this game because they want those 15 extra practices. It goes a long way for your young guys in the development. But something's got to change. And, I mean, does this game even matter?
I think 9-4 just feels way better. I mean, for obvious reasons, because you lost your last 3 SEC games and you lose your bowl game. You lose 4 games going into the offseason. It just... give me something to be excited about.
I agree that there is that element of the record and the way it feels, but I'm just saying from
it doesn't change anything.
Yeah, it's like, that's not going to be your football team next year. I mean, it's like our bowl game last year.
Right.
The guys that played in that game, we have a whole new roster.
It's not even going to be your football team this year because how many people are going to, or typically, because I always go back to Florida in 2020 when they played Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl. And they played without Kyle Pitts and Kavarius Toney and whoever their leading rusher was, and it just wasn't the same representative of the team you had all year. Now, I don't know if that's going to be the case with A&M, but I'm assuming Scorton and Shamar Stewart who declare for the draft aren't going to be there.
All right, let's hit a break here. Bird Dog Time, Aggie owned and operated company creating access to hunting opportunities. If you want to go on a cool hunt and they take care of all the logistics, go to birddogit.com. They handle everything for you, the food, the experience, elevate those experiences with some other things like helicopter hunting, cooking classes, yoga, live music, you name it. Jonathan Lusk and the team there at Bird Dog are going to make sure that you have an incredible, incredible experience. If you're a seasoned hunter like McGee or somebody who's brand new like myself, you want to check it out. birddogit.com, birddogit.com. Check it out. And we're back on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creation. Stephen McGee is with us, Olin Buchanan. All right, let's do a quick buy-sell lease. You have to choose a pro coach to lead your college football program.
Ooh.
I did not put Dan Campbell on this list because I think we would all pick Dan Campbell.
Absolutely.
Right? So I chose others. Bill Belichick, who's going to North Carolina, Mike Tomlin, or Sean McVay.
Ooh,
I think that's a good list right there.
That's a great list. I know what I'm doing. You want me to go first?
I know what I'm doing. Yeah, you're the guest.
All right.
You're the guest. Guest always goes first.
I'm buying Sean McVay. I have a man crush on him because of the offensive mind, and I think he's a younger guy that I feel like could relate well. The biceps.
Is he jacked?
I appreciate that he has a full head of hair. I'm going to lease Mike Tomlin just because I've heard great things about him, mainly through Jamie McCoy, who played with him in Pittsburgh. And then I'm going to sell Belichick just because I think there's an age factor. I think he's already had success. He's already been to the top. I feel like,
college is different too.
It's a different game. And his love language, there's nothing soft about his approach to coaching people.
Yeah, I think you have to be a certain amount of politician to be a coach in college ball. And I do wonder if that's going to work for him. In fact, Lane Kiffin may be the only coach that I've ever seen go from the pros direct, his first job and only job was the pros to the NFL and to college and be successful.
Mm-hmm.
So I would buy Mike Tomlin because I think Mike Tomlin.
That's who I'd buy.
I think Mike Tomlin speaks well and
he's relatable.
He's relatable.
And he also commands respect.
I agree.
He has both things to him, right?
And then
I agree.
Yeah, and then I'd lease McVay.
Yeah.
And then is the whole I'm Bill Belichick and you asked me a question. Yeah. I mean, is that going to work? And I know he's going to get like $20 million to pay players, but that's not coming from the owner. That's coming from fans, from donors.
Yeah.
And if you're being difficult,
it's going to be hard to get that money.
Are you going to keep getting that money?
So somebody said if there's any questions about his ability to recruit, all you have to look at is his 25-year-old cheerleader girlfriend.
Yeah.
But I will say this, contrary to popular belief, I would never forget in my pre-draft visit in New England, I sat down in the office with him face-to-face, and I was shocked at what a nice, charismatic person he was.
Yeah, but if I had $100 million, I'd be walking around with Miss America, too.
You already are, buddy.
I know, but without even $100 million. So imagine what I could do with $100 million.
And that cool hoodie. You don't even need the cash, man. You just got the swag.
She
you got that Riz.
Too.
What do kids say nowadays? It's
Riz.
the Riz.
It's the Riz.
Yeah.
I'm a Rizoid.
Thank you, OB.
Yeah.
When we come back, Logan Lee is TexAgs Live. And we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. We talked a little football. We turn our attention to basketball. We have talked basketball. Logan Lee's in studio. Hey, buddy.
Howdy.
How are you?
I'm doing excellent.
McGee said he hadn't seen you in forever, and
I know that's why I'm happy now because I got to see Stephen.
Yeah, he was good. We had a fun segment. We were talking about, and we can talk about this from a basketball perspective, but Bill Belichick taking the job in North Carolina, and we were just kind of going into. I don't think it's a winning formula, me personally, but we'll see how it works out for them. Just talking about the transition from the pro game to the college game from a basketball perspective. What do you think? Because it almost had, well, if you believe what happened with UConn and Hurley, actually really thinking about the Lakers, which I think it wasn't a real thing. Do you think it can work from college to pro and pro to college?
I think it kind of worked
a little bit, right?
I think it's easier to go college to pro because you really have to be just a manager of egos and putting the puzzle pieces together. Everything's built for you, and you just have to go out and manage it. And if you can manage those egos, then you can have a winning team. It's got to be 1,000% harder to go from pro to college because then you have all of the aspects of college. You have to get your staff that worries about academics. You have to get your staff that worries about guys that are going to the club and doing things. You have to get your staff that can recruit. Now you have to worry about NIL. You can't just pay guys and say, well, and then you can't say, well, okay, don't do your job, you get cut. You don't have a salary anymore. No, these kids are getting paid NIL no matter what. If they start out as the starting quarterback getting paid 7 figures and they're not good enough, you bench them, but they still get paid. Like, how does that happen? And so
it's a marketing deal.
Well, and on top of that, I wouldn't want to have to deal with the fragile egos of these college kids. Like, in today's day, if someone gets mad, they can say, "Fine, I'm going to transfer. I don't want to be here. I don't like the way you talk to me. You yelled at me too much. You put too many rules on me, too many parameters on school and nightlife and my life, and I don't get to make my decision. I'm going to leave. And by the way, I'm going to leave and I'm going to get more NIL money wherever I go there."
Which is why I think what Buzz has done at A&M, I want to see more success in March, no doubt.
For sure.
But is brilliant. He's got, is it 8 seniors on this team?
I mean, is it 8?
He's got a bunch.
He's got a ton for sure.
I mean, Henry, who didn't start here, came here his sophomore year. Wade, like you look at these players, like this is Andy's 3rd year. I remember when he first got here. Guy's like 32.
But if you think about it, we were talking about the transfer portal 3 years ago and saying this is a really young team. There's going to be a large learning curve, a steep learning curve this season because not only is he bringing in 5 new guys out of the transfer portal, they're all sophomores. They're all second-year players, so they don't have that experience. They don't know what to expect, and now you throw them into a new system that is Buzz's system, which is very different from
anything they've been in.
Yeah, anything that they've seen. Yeah. And so that's what we were talking about in the 3rd year of Buzz, which was the year after COVID, saying he's done a good job in the transfer portal, but it's going to be rough because of the youth. And now that youth is experienced, and you're seeing them at 8-2. They've won some games that they would have lost last year. Yep. They would have lost 2 years ago. Even though not all the games have been pretty, they've been able to pull them out and win and still have that momentum going into Purdue.
So I brought this up. It came up yesterday, and it came up 3 years ago with us on the air. I don't know if you listened to the show yesterday, but 3 years ago or 3.5 years ago, I made the comparison. You know where I'm going?
No, I don't. That's why I'm kind of nervous.
Of Wade and Henry to Joseph Jones and AC Law. You kind of laughed at me. And by the way, I agree with the laughing. Hold on. You're still there. Like, they have not had the postseason success that those guys had, right? But they can get there this year. If they make, and I think we'd agree, that team, I don't want to say underperformed, but it was a play away from the Elite Eight, right?
Which camera am I supposed to look
You look at wherever you want. That team was a play away from the Elite Eight, and I think they should have been in the Elite Eight.
I think they should have been in the Elite Eight, yes.
And I think that's the best basketball team that I have seen at A&M.
But I think we should stop trying to mention AC Law and Joe Jones to Wade and Henry.
I can agree with that.
Like that's in my book. That's not a comparison.
But for this generation of basketball, that's the closest thing we've had to that.
I mean, you can put it as the closest thing, but I think it's far from it.
Well,
they're very, and I say that not
with respect,
not disrespectful to them as players. I think they're very good players. They're talented players. Wade is, I mean, he can get hot and fill up the bucket. I don't want to say 1,000 times better than AC, but I mean, he can score.
Different kind of scorer than AC.
Different type of scorer, but he can light it up.
Tell me if I'm right here. They're both clutch players, but AC was a different level of clutch.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
You knew the shot was going in with it, and in fact, you were shocked when it didn't go in. Yeah. And I'm not saying that I don't have optimism with Wade's shots. I'm just saying that AC was a different. It was like a Kobe clutch. Like just give him the freaking ball. He's going to make something happen.
Absolutely, but he was going to. I think the difference is AC's ability to not only hit those clutch shots, but if he didn't have it, he had Josh Carter, he had Joe Jones, he had Antanas Kavaliauskas, he had Dominique Kirk, like
Logan Lee.
He had players that all of those guys were going to hit it if they pass it.
Chris Walker would hit it.
Chris Walker would hit a shot.
Yeah.
But that's probably the difference between Wade and AC is that AC could rely on all those, and he knew I didn't have to make the play, but he was going to.
Wade has to.
Wade has to make that play. Yeah. He has to. And a lot of times, AC never settled. He never settled for a shot. Wade, I think, at times settles because he knows, hey, I'm 35 feet away. I can shoot this. AC wasn't allowed to shoot from 35 feet away. He probably could have made them from 35 feet, but that wasn't a good
Billy
shot.
Billy was not going to allow that.
Yeah, that's not a good shot.
100% agree with you.
And so Wade has some more freedom to take those shots and not necessarily force the action.
Is that because we're in a different era of basketball, though?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's taking 35-foot shots now. Back in the day, the only time you took a shot like that was if it was under 2 seconds.
You would get benched.
By anybody.
But this
no matter who you were,
yes.
No matter what team you were on.
It wasn't just a Billy Clyde thing.
Hey, you come sit next to me on the sideline and watch how we're supposed to play basketball.
Yeah. And when I make these comparisons, it's more just talking than like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if this team makes a run to the Elite Eight, if they were to be that blessed to do that, then we can really have conversations about this era of Aggie basketball, right? But I guess my point is two cornerstone pieces that have been with you for a few years that have brought a lot of success. I want to see, like they were so close against Houston, so freaking close against Houston after missing all those free throws, right?
Absolutely.
If they're in this year's team, feels like they're on a higher trajectory until you look at what's ahead. Like until you realize, you look at like is it 8? Remind me, 8 SEC teams in the top 25? Am I right about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
8 or 9?
Oh, 9.
9.
Yeah,
sorry,
9.
9. Okay, so like, Ed Schuberth was in here yesterday, your bud, and he's like, if you go 9-9, that's a good year in the SEC. Think about that.
You're getting a 6, 7, 8 seed even if you go 9-9. Like that's the SEC is tough this year, top to bottom. They are
the best conference in basketball. I don't know if that means they win the national championship, but the best conference in basketball.
Yeah, I don't know if it means that they win the national championship because there are some top tier teams out there not in the SEC. But I think A&M this year is set up appropriately for what we thought they were going to be at this point.
Yeah.
The game against Purdue is going to tell us a lot. Purdue is very good. They're efficient on offense. They run their offense to perfection to get those efficient shots, and then they capitalize on it. Their defense is solid. They're not the Purdue of last year, but they are.
But they're still.
I mean,
they're top 15 good.
Absolutely,
and they'll be top 15 good all year.
I haven't seen the entire country. I haven't seen all of the top 25 teams play, but I would say Purdue is a legit top 10 if they continue to play the way that they've been playing.
Yeah,
and then they're going to stay there. And this is going to be a good test for A&M. It's not going to be a game, I don't think, that the Aggies can have Manny come down, bring the ball down, not make a single pass, try to back someone down and shoot a bucket. Like that's I don't think that that's going to be effective enough. Now, I'm not saying that can't happen 1 or 2 possessions, because 1 or 2 possessions, Manny can be pretty efficient doing that. But it can't be consistent because it throws A&M's offense out of whack. There's no flow to it.
Same with Zurich Phelps, right?
Absolutely. Everybody just kind of stands and starts watching. And that's when there's no movement. And then you don't force Purdue's defense to rotate. No one gets open shots. It breaks everything down. Again, I don't mind if Phelps is coming on a fast break and maybe it's a 1-on-2 and he forces the action and he goes up and he may make it, he may miss it. You can do that. You can force it. That forces Purdue's defense in their mind, I've got to get back, which takes them off the glass, which makes them focus on, okay, I've got to get back in transition D.
Yep.
So you do need to force it, but the action at times, just not all the time. Can't have the turnovers.
You know, it's interesting, Logan, that they're 8-2, and I'm still waiting for Zurich to figure it out with this team. And he's played well, but I think there's another level. I'm waiting for Manny to be the Manny that we saw last year at the end of the season, right? And they're 8-2 with this tough schedule. And historically, Buzz teams get better as the year goes on. Manny was not the same player at the beginning of last year that he was at the end of last year, right? So these things are, I hate that they're a work in progress, but it's kind of, that's the artist that is Buzz Williams. He does, on the canvas, figures it out by the end of the year.
And let's add in the fact that I don't think the coaching staff has figured out how to use what they can do with Henry and what they can do with Payne. You saw against Wake Forest, first possession of the game. Threw it in the block to Coleman. Left shoulder turn to the baseline, little hook shot, made it, kind of set the tone. Then the first possession that Payne was in the game, put him on the block, post him up, set the tone again.
Yep.
You know, so the staff hasn't figured out how do we utilize the bigs in the post in the flow of the game consistently. So that's going to continue to improve. Phelps, I completely agree with you. I don't think he's found his role yet. He's figuring it out. I think he's up and down. There are some games he's really good. There are some games where he leaves us wondering when's he gonna click? When's it gonna click? What's gonna happen? You know, Manny at this point, you know, I would venture to say that's going to be on the staff to rein him in and to tell him what he can and can't do.
Yeah.
Because he, at this point, he's a veteran.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to tell him, hey, pass the ball and then get it back and then score. But if you do have to tell him that, then it has to be told every possession.
Yeah.
It has to.
Didn't have to be a Wade
they
thing
have to
too,
remind
or
him. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, yes and no. My thing is, this team that they're okay with that because they have Anderson Garcia and Jace Carter hitting the offensive glass. You know, Henry Coleman grabbing a couple of offensive rebounds, Payne grabbing a couple of offensive rebounds. They all do that, and so they're all somewhat okay with it.
Right.
And I'm not saying that that's just my old school thinking. This team is built and they've won games the way that they've won games. And so you can't completely change everything about it. I'm just saying they need to rein it in a little. They need to limit some of those possessions. Don't take it completely away from them, but hone it in, figure out your identity, and then start taking off.
You know, Manny, though, is one of the most athletic freaks I've seen play here basketball, right? Like his ability to go from the three-point line, contour his body in a way, and still, like, you know, matrix it the shot up. It doesn't always go in, but, like, it is pretty to watch.
Not to mention, we haven't seen one of those highlight dunks. Like, he can put his elbow on the rim. He can kind of do it. When it comes to athleticism, he can do it all. And I would love to see him and Payne catch some backdoor lobs, throw down on somebody. Like that changes the feel of the game. That changes the momentum, the atmosphere. It gets your entire team hyped. Throw the ball up a couple times. Let those guys go get it and finish it strong above the rim.
Does this team feel like a team that you could see getting to the Sweet 16?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it's matchups related. I get that, but like
I don't even hesitate with that answer. Like last year, it was always, if they did something right, if they continue to grow, if they do this, if they get better at this, then they possibly have a chance to get to the second weekend. I think this team is a second weekend team. I mean, the talent, the experience, the puzzle pieces that they added in the offseason, the coaching staff. I think the coaching staff has gotten better with this team, and that's why I think that's why they're 8-2, because the staff has made adjustments in game this year that they hadn't made in years past, and that's probably because they trust the guys. These are veteran guys. They know what they can do, and they know how they play, and this is just a more cohesive team with more talent.
So your thoughts on this before we hit a break, this Purdue game? Because win, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, it means a lot. But it doesn't mean that they're going to run through the SEC. Loss doesn't mean they're going to struggle against the SEC. But it is the next big matchup and the biggest matchup to date.
Yeah, it's definitely a litmus test. See where they're at. This is the last big one before SEC. They have Houston Christian, they have Abilene Christian, which ACU could be tough.
Yeah,
I mean they've got some guys, but they have to go in to this Purdue matchup thinking, how are we going to be better in this single game? What are we going to do on offense to make us better as a team? What are we going to do on defense to make us more consistent as a team? Because Purdue's the best team that they're going to play so far, and it's going to be a tough matchup.
Thank you, Logan. Appreciate you, buddy.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back. Aaron Torres, then Billy Liucci. If you are looking for car insurance, Rollo Insurance should be the people. If you're not even looking for it because you think, I think I got a good deal, you should call Rollo Insurance. RolloInsurance.com/TexAgs. Let them take care of all your insurance needs, from car insurance, homeowners insurance, farmers insurance, you name it. They will take great care of you. They've been taking care of my family since we moved here. But you don't even have to live in College Station. They got 60 offices around Texas. They're outside of Texas as well. They're a growing company, but their headquarters is right here on Highway 6 in College Station. The phone number for Rollo Insurance, 888-44-ROLLO, 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs.
As a reminder, the final segment of the show is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggie Land since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on Double Dave's, and your favorites are on their way. Let's do a little around college football, brought to you by Milliken Reserve, a College Station community featuring homes, trails, farms, and wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. Take part in a Conservancy membership. Learn more at millikenreserve.com. Aaron Torres is on the Boss Firearms Hotline. AT, good morning, buddy. How you been? Oh, I don't hear you. Don't hear you. Uh-oh. Nick, is that on our side or his side? It's on us. He's fixing it. We will talk to Aaron Torres about many things in life. One of those including the college football playoffs. Did the committee get it right? And I guarantee you he will have an opinion on the Bill Belichick situation. Since we can't call you because I just did Double Dave's, we're going to go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center while Nick fixes that and get a text or two to keep the dialogue going. Matthew Dawson, tell us something.
Well, speaking of college football, we'll talk Texas A&M. Eddie in Austin said, looks like we return our best pass rusher, and then tagged a link to a
Cassius
Twitter
Howell?
post about Cassius Howell. And PFF, I guess they have their arbitrary grades that they do for they have him first on our team in pass rushing grade, first in team pass rush win rate percentage, and also first in pass coverage grade of any player that's not a defensive back on Texas A&M. So that is, I guess, kind of a bright spot, I guess, if you're looking forward at the Texas A&M defensive line 2025.
Well, yesterday with Liucci, we were talking about, was it Liucci? No, it might have been OB. We were talking about, where we really hit it big on the transfer portal. Who was the best transfer portal addition? You could make an argument for Cassius Howell. I would probably say it was Will Lee, or let me think.
Nick Scorton.
Nick Scorton, absolutely in the conversation.
Coley was a very underrated one.
Coley was really good, yep. Who else? Scooby Williams.
Yep, that was another good one.
But they mostly hit. So we're going to try again, Aaron Torres. Aaron, I apologize for the technical difficulties. Can you hear me and can we hear you? That's the question we're about to find out. Hey, Aaron. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I'm going to punch myself in the face. I'm going to do it. Brian Broadcasting, can you guys call Aaron if you have a free line? Thank you very much. This is just not going to work out for me today. Let's get another text message, Matthew.
Well, I guess let's get to... Apologize, should have had another one in the chamber.
It's all right. I got one for us,
Thank
guys. Conversations of all year, big conversations about changing the culture. As of now, we have 21 players quitting on the team. Is that a byproduct of culture of today's environment? I would tell you that it's a byproduct of the culture. Not of the culture, of the environment of college sports, because you cannot look at a team that isn't infected with transfer portal guys. Now, you could say you got to make the playoff to kind of diffuse that situation, and sometimes until a little bit later. But I think in today's college football world, if you did not hear that commentary from the Colorado State head coach, then basically you just don't recognize what is happening. Players who don't want to leave are being called by folks that are agents saying, hey, I can get you X amount of dollars if you go in the portal. And then they're shopping that guy without having that guy. That is happening today. And that is good business on their part. Terrible, I think, for the game of college football.
Yeah, I agree. I do think the transfer portal has its good parts, has its bad parts. Money's always going to be a part of the game, which is just really unfortunate. But
let me try the Boss Firearms Hotline, because I think we got AT on here. We're going to try. AT, tell me it's you.
It's me. Can you hear me?
Hey, caller, hello. Welcome to Movie Phone with Aaron Torres. AT, I'm sorry, buddy. We've had some technical difficulties this morning.
I know. It's usually on me. I usually screw everything up, so I'm just happy it wasn't me this time.
It's nobody's fault. It just sometimes our Zoom acts up, so nobody's fault. Hey, Billy's joining us here shortly, so I got a couple things I want to get to with you.
I don't believe Bill Belichick in North Carolina makes sense on many levels. I don't think his coaching style works with college football guys. I think the game is different now than it was. I think there's a reason Nick Saban left. Communicating the way that he was so good at with NIL, I think changes the game. Am I wrong? Am I right? What do you think about Bill Belichick to North Carolina?
Yeah, and by the way, cut me off if I'm going long here because I know we're short on time. I'm with you. I find it very interesting the people who cover college sports for a living versus the ones who don't. You know, because you see a lot, well, I mean, recruiting's different now. You don't have to this, you don't have to that. It's like recruiting, or no, I hear recruiting is easier now because you just pay kids. But it's exactly what you just said, David. Yeah, you're paying a kid, and then to the point that you just made with the social center, it's like, well, the kid has a great year. He decides to go in the portal even after you agreed to a deal for next year. Or the kid's in the portal and he commits to you tonight, and then fill in the blank school calls tomorrow, offers him double, and he's not committed to you anymore. And so I just think until you could sit there and say we have this much money, you know, we have this guy running our player personnel, whatever, until you're in the fire and until these kids kind of burn you, which they're doing to everybody. It's not just Bill Belichick, it's Kirby Smart, it's whoever. I just don't think you can fully understand it. And so I am with you. And the other last thing is I don't love taking the job solely to hand off to your son. I just think the job itself is much more complicated. And I don't think because he was a player personnel guy, et cetera, in college, that necessarily precludes him or makes him somebody that's, because he's done it at the pro level, that means that he'll have success at the college level. I don't buy that at all.
AT, I love the tweet you had this weekend. Look, I think Texas should be in the college football playoffs. I'm not saying they shouldn't be, so please, people don't send me that. But I like what you put. ESPN did hours of live coverage on Sunday following the CFP bracket reveal. At no point did they acknowledge Texas essentially had the same resume as SMU. Take it from there.
Yeah, listen, doing 3 hours of post-game radio, it kind of crystallized to me, one, that Texas did have the exact same resume as SMU, 11-2, 0-2 against ranked opponents. And basically what crystallized to me was the and this was the disappointing part of ESPN's coverage, is they made it an SMU versus Alabama debate because that was the conversation going into the weekend. And what I realized was it wasn't an SMU versus Alabama debate. What it actually was a teams with good losses but good wins but bad losses resume versus teams with no good wins but no bad losses. And so the teams with no good wins but no bad losses, it wasn't just SMU. It was Texas, it was Indiana, it was frankly Notre Dame, it was whoever, Penn State. And then there were a lot of teams that had some really good wins but some really questionable losses. Ole Miss, Alabama, even to a degree South Carolina, et cetera. And so the committee made it clear that they weren't going to punish teams for conference championship games, and that really, if you had no bad losses, that was better than having some good wins but some bad losses. And so once I saw Texas at number 5, basically not penalized for not really beating anybody and not penalized for losing in their conference championship game, you then have to put in SMU because you have laid out those two parameters as groundwork for how you're building that bracket. And so it was clear the committee was not going to penalize pretty much anybody for losing in their conference championship games. By the way, UNLV and Iowa State didn't fall out of the top 25 for losing their conference championship games. So once you establish you're not going to penalize anybody for losing your title game, you can't then penalize SMU. We can debate whether the committee did it right or wrong, but based on their own parameters, there was no way you could leave out SMU and put in schools like Texas, Indiana, et cetera.
All right, let's close out with this. Any chance you make the drive to Vegas for the USC A&M bowl game, Las Vegas Bowl, and what do you think about it?
What date is that, by the way?
December 27th.
Is that a Saturday?
It's a Friday.
It's a Friday. You know what I don't do on Friday? Host radio. Friday's my day off. I won't put it at 0%. Are you going to be there? Are you going to be hanging?
Freaking be there. I'll be partying until at least 11 p.m. Oh, West Coast time, at least 9 p.m.
Okay. Well, listen, Vegas will get you sometimes. So, that clock ticks a little faster in Vegas. I wasn't planning on it, but, I actually did want to get out there one time, like kind of during the Christmas time, just to get away for a day or two. So if I get out there, I'll hit you up. But I would not put it at 100%. Let me put it that way. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. I was actually out there around Thanksgiving time. My family has a place not far from the Strip. But I can't promise. But I can't promise that I won't be there either. How's that sound?
That works great, man. We got to drop it here. We'll talk to you next week, buddy.
I know. All right, we'll talk soon. Have a good weekend. Talk soon.
See you, man. AT there on the Boss Firearms Hotline. All right, Chance McClain and Heritage Films, they make documentary films for your family. You got a dad that's got a cool story? Yeah, you do. Mom, whatever it may be. Your grandfather, mentor, your family's got an awesome tradition that you guys do every year. Your buddies get together every Thanksgiving for a turkey bowl. Bunch of 50-year-old men trying to play football and tearing their hamstrings. I get it. I've been there. I'm the culprit sometimes. You should have a heritage film done, have a documentary done about that group experience, about that family experience, about that family patriarch. So many different ways to have a 2-hour documentary done in the best way, and Chance McClain and Heritage Films will do that. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com. 713-893-8341. 713-893-8341. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. We're going to go to the Boss Firearms Hotline and talk to Billy Liucci, executive editor and co-owner of TexAgs and TexAgs.com. Billy, good morning, buddy.
Good morning, Nuño.
All right, so you intrigued me yesterday. There was a tweet that you responded to when it came to the A&M football schedule, and you said you would expand on it on the show. So we knew the opponent, or most of the opponents. We knew most of it. Just kind of break it down for me. What did you think of it?
That was just Twitter. That's not real life.
Oh,
I didn't,
good point.
I didn't mean that I would expound upon it. No, I was, yeah, I mean, thoughts on the schedule, right? Likes and dislikes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a month on the road, basically, right? Three games in a row on the road. There's some interesting stretches.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was going to say. You just stole my thunder.
Good.
Of course, I dislike one home game from October 11th until the end of the season, which Bronny had to race to Twitter to talk about. But from October 11th, you get Florida, and then at the end of the year, the only other home SEC game the rest of the way, Nuño, is November 15th at South Carolina. So it's pretty wild. You're looking at 4 SEC road games out of 5 to close the season. I hate that. The SEC, I understand. It's not a conspiracy. If I'm not mistaken, Texas has the same thing. And I know there's 16 teams, and it makes it quite difficult. But I think the league has got to do a better job than to have. And I don't know who else has gotten hit with this coming year and this past year. But 4 SEC road games in 5 is absurd. It shouldn't happen to anyone. 3 straight on the road is ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous, actually. But the only saving grace is there is a bye week in there. So you're at Arkansas, at LSU, then you're off before you travel to Columbia. But and also, that won't be an easy stretch. But if you look at the teams on the schedule, stacking Arkansas, LSU, and Missouri, it certainly could be. It certainly could be tougher. LSU will probably be a ranked team as they typically are. The news yesterday that Nussmeier's coming back. They'll ride that one, but I don't think LSU is going to be a great football team next year. Arkansas, we say this every year, but I think it's very real now. If you see what's happening in the portal, Sam Pittman could very well be on the way out. And I don't think Eli Drinkwitz, even though A&M put it on them this year, they had a pretty good season. I don't think Drink's going to be able to keep much going over there when you look at their roster. So, I mean, even though it's 3 road games in a row, when you throw in an open week there and you look at who it is and compared to the teams on your schedule, compared to what you typically see on the road in the SEC, it could be worse. It could be worse. I love the early season start to SEC play. Auburn at home, Mississippi State at home, Florida at home. You have to love that. UTSA and Utah State, little Samford stinks, the replacement there for Tarleton. But UTSA and Utah State, Nuño, a little trickier as far as that level of non-conference team goes. When you look at the non-conference games this year, and it's UTSA, Utah State, Notre Dame. But I like the way it kind of ramps up there. A&M will have to be playing good football going into Notre Dame because the Roadrunners and the Aggies will test you a little bit, as far as non-power 4 teams go. So I like it. I love the start of the schedule. I like not opening with Notre Dame. I like getting the kinks out and seeing who can play and who can't, finding out who your guys are before Notre Dame. And then I like the bye week after. I mean, that's a very well-placed bye week. You go on the road, play a really tough game, win or lose. You come back and you get 3 straight home games to open SEC play. And look, I know Auburn beat A&M this year. The Aggies are a 4th and 2 stop or whatever one play you want to pick. away from having beat all three of those teams this past season. So I actually like the schedule. I do. I have that one complaint. I like South Carolina towards the end of the year. If you're going to have only one home game in that stretch, let it be probably maybe the second best team on your schedule, maybe the third with Notre Dame. I haven't really dove into what all they lose prior to next season, but I'd say no worse than the third best team on your schedule, maybe second behind Texas. So let that be a big ramp-up home game where the fans hadn't seen you in a while and get them late in the season at home, kind of return the favor from last year.
Billy, how are you feeling about the potential of adding a wide receiver transfer? I know Micah Hudson's name has been linked to A&M. He's had the visit. There's other names that they're interested in. How do you feel about progress in that wide receiver room?
I don't feel like they're gonna land one. I feel like they're gonna land a couple, and they need to. But I think out of Micah Hudson, Nick Anderson would obviously be a huge one coming out of Oklahoma, Mississippi State, and Barian Brown out of Kentucky. Out of those four, and Concepcion is a guy, KJ Concepcion out of NC State is a guy that was, I think, literally on his way to the airport or getting in the car to come here, and Bama talked him out of it, or maybe talked, the agent out of it, or however that works. But he was one step from being here on an OB and still has one scheduled, so we'll see if that happens. So out of those five guys, and there'll be somebody else too, but out of those five, if they could get two of them to pair with at the top of your core next year, like Noah Thomas and Terry Busby, I think you're talking about a pretty damn elite receiving core. And we never said that once this year, and really for the past couple of years. It's not like they've had a guy. I'm thinking, did Jimbo, correct me if I'm wrong, Jimbo never had one drafted. That would be a hell of a receiving core if they get two out of that group. And it's almost where you could say any two. They're that good. I mean, I've got my preferences, but it's almost where you could say any two. And they might take three. I mean, there is a limit. I don't think that it's unheard of that they go out and get three. But I think that, to me, like what would be considered really satisfactory and successful would be to get two out of that group. That'd be an A haul. If you went and got three out of that group, you're talking about A+, completely changed the look of that position. Keeping Noah around big too, and I haven't heard rumblings at all of him leaving, but he's a guy that you kind of can build it around. I think Noah this year doesn't get enough credit. He got open a lot. I could see him having a big bowl game.
Talking to Billy Liucci here. Billy, what about the defensive line?
Now, that'll be ongoing, Nuño. I think you'll see more and more guys pop up. They're hosting a visitor from Nebraska today. Nebraska, I got to check. He leaves today, but he's been here. Kelby Collins coming in from Florida. Both of those guys are screaming tape, spraying in. Obviously, Sean Spencer's really Coach Chaos is really familiar with Kelby. He's a guy that I think you could tell A&M views as a priority target for sure. And they'll bring in some others. I love the edge rusher from Purdue. But you're going to start seeing, though, some big men emerge. They've got to go get, in my opinion, they've got on the visit list, they've got one from Arkansas, they've got one from Wisconsin. You've got to go get one of these tall, long-arm, 300-plus pounders. They don't have that dimension on the inside. If you look at them this year, length and mass is something I wouldn't say they had very much of on the defensive interior. You know, like a guy like a Walter Nolan, unfortunately, you know, who A&M did everything they could to keep. He wasn't one of these portal guys that they let walk. He just, you know, I think Walt wanted to kind of break the bank, and he found that in Oxford and was the first team All-SEC pick. But he's one of those 6'5", 300-plus pounds, long arms, cat quick. You look at A&M this year, and I think teams finally said, look, they're a little – they don't have a lot of length. They're a little undersized, and then we're just going to start running right at them. You look at South Carolina, Auburn, and Texas, and what they did running the football down the stretch. And they ran at, you know, Nick, not the longest, rangiest defensive end, and Shamar Turner is kind of a guy that grew into being a full-time interior guy. We've always said just an excellent player, a little bit of a tweener. Regis was Regis about 6'2", and DJ Hicks is kind of more like Shamar, where he's really quick, not the biggest framed interior guy. So I think that's what they need to add. Hicks, I think, could really emerge, but you need some mass in there alongside him, and I think you'll see A&M add that before. And is obviously a need position to a degree. You've got Ryland and ideally Cassius Howell coming back, but End is still positioned. And they've got some guys, Nuño, that redshirted that they're pretty excited about along that D-line, too. And we might see some of them, obviously, might see some of them in the bowl game.
Billy, thank you, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, David. Where are you going to rush off to? Commercial here?
Commercial here, yeah. We're 2 minutes late.
Louis got you running scared this morning, huh?
You want to come back on the next segment for 32 seconds?
Probably not.
Okay. Well, we got it.
I'd love to cut in on the fan show.
You can do that. Let's do it at 10 a.m. I'll push them back to 10:20.
No.
Okay, fine.
I don't want to do the fan show. Goodbye.
Goodbye. And with that, we'll hit a break.
All right, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Matthew, remind us what happened yesterday with a former A&M quarterback.
Well, Connor Wigman's, as of yesterday, committed to the Houston Cougars to play for Willie Fritz and the boys in his hometown. So that's pretty cool.
They had the worst offense in the Big 12 last year. They were 4-8. They're certainly going to need Wiggy to show his old form there. Good luck to him. I hope he does well with Houston.
I agree.
Thank you, Doss. When we come back on TexAgs Live, we're going to talk to the fan show guys. Right now, if you're looking for a reason to come back to Aggieland or are already in Aggieland looking for a great opportunity, check out the Association of Former Students that are seeking to hire professionals to join their team. They got a bunch of different openings. You got fundraising, former student programs, you got marketing. They're the premier alumni association and the oldest organization serving A&M in support of that Aggie network. They play a part in every Aggie story from Howdy to here. Don't miss an opportunity to help out with Howdy Socials, Aggie Ring Day, class reunions, Aggie Muster. Join a team that exemplifies those Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service. If you're interested in joining a team or sharing with someone who would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/association jobs to apply and get more information on each position. It is the Association of Former Students.
All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio, and it is now time for the Fan Show.
Well, in honor of all the Christmas music that I've been listening to, I wanted to let you go a cappella for that one.
Thank you very much. And there was one of those where I was like kind of embarrassed at one point, and then I just said, all right, I'm going to do it.
Just go with it. Just roll with it, man. It was great.
This is brought to you by PrizePicks, prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to get $50 once you play in $5 lineups. A bunch of different specials going on. Matthew will tell you about those here in a moment. Gentlemen, how are you?
Doing wonderful.
Good.
It's been a week?
Been a week.
Been about 6 weeks?
Yeah, been a while.
Been about a week?
Yep.
Yeah? Everybody good?
Yeah, to quote one of the greatest movies of all time, Wyatt, I am rolling.
And what movie is that?
It's Tombstone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. I was giving Matthew a hard time for not knowing different strokes earlier. You should give me a hard time for not recognizing the Tombstone line. Mr. Dawson, can you give the guys the first question of the day? You pick who gets it first, too.
Well, let's go, Roy, because you're such in a happy mood this week. It's a big weekend for you.
It is.
What's on your mind, Roy?
Dude, what's on my mind is beat Navy. That's what's on my mind. It's Army-Navy week, man. It's the best week of the year. And it's really weird this year because they already played their conference championship.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and even if, when they were in a conference before, it's not like we were expecting them to get to the conference championship. But obviously that's on my mind. But what's also on my mind is Jamie Morrison and this volleyball team going up to Sweet 16. I feel really good about it. He's got them playing at a fantastic clip. The first two rounds I watched, it was interesting. The first game was Colorado State, correct? Mm-hmm. And you're watching it and not going real well against what a Colorado State team you would expect to beat handily. But yet again, they showed, and what we've seen in matches throughout this year, and really progress through the year, better and better, right?
Yep.
Is that kind of grit, right? That Aggie grit, and just to reach down deep and scratch and claw. And we saw it in the Texas match, and just to reach down and pull out the matches, And not that I'm saying that they should win, because once you're in the tournament, everybody made the tournament for a reason, right? But then for them to turn around and then beat Arizona State, in their house. He's got them rolling, and it's just like basketball. Once you get in the tournament, the hot teams are the ones you want to watch. So I'm excited for them to play Wisconsin, big time.
Royce, what's on your mind?
Well, have you ever been to an Army-Navy game?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, man, if you haven't, you ought to go one time.
Bucket list.
Should. You stole part of what I was going to talk about is the volleyball, so I won't spend a lot, but that is on my mind. And Jamie's done an incredible job with that team, I think, and they've improved each year, and I just have big hopes for them. And that was a really big win the other day for them. So congratulations to them. The other thing that's on my mind is that I know the season didn't end up like we wanted to in football, but we got to put all that behind us. And
it's hard, man.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? We've got a bowl game coming up.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't think about is the extra practice time you get when you're in a bowl game that you can start building for next year. And if you're not in that game, you don't get those practices. And so I do agree with that. But David, I like the approach you've been taking. That things didn't end up at all. It's a bitter pill, but by the same token, we're building for the future, and I'm excited about that. And the other thing's on my mind.
Oh boy.
Ta-da.
David, if you don't know, is a big Batman guy. Hot Wheels, the Batmobile.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much.
That's outstanding.
Now in the old studio, we're going to put it prominently. I'm going to put it right here. There we go. Nobody open it. Billy's going to open it now for sure. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
To caveat on what he's saying, I think there should be a little bit of excitement because you know what? We're not playing in the Music City Bowl. We're not playing that. We get to go to Vegas.
Yes.
And we get to play USC.
Right.
And no matter what their record was, USC. This should be fun.
Right.
I'm excited.
I'm like everybody else, Kev. Like, I'm disappointed, and a bowl victory isn't going to fix anything, right? No. But more football is good.
Yes.
Right? Like, we line up for New Mexico State, 103. Like, we're going to do just fine, right? Like, it's football, and I want more Aggie football, and I want to see Marcel Reed take another step. What's on your mind?
It's interesting. Absolutely kudos to volleyball. Kudos to Jamie and his staff for embracing the community. We have seen them at more events, taking the girls out, getting to know as a volleyball parent and as a soccer parent, to see that embrace. That's been really good. I remember the Texas game, my God, the 8,000, 9,000. That was the largest attended volleyball game, they said, in the history of the state of Texas.
Oh,
it was unreal. We came up short, but here we are again. Yeah. And we're keep plugging away, so that's really good. I think for me, what's on my mind, the schedule when it came out, and I've been listening to everybody on the schedule.
Today?
Yesterday, yes, sir. And we all know, going back to the finishing up football, right? Nobody was happy. We never are, right? But if we went 8-4, 7-5 the first 2 years, and we got beat by Ole Miss, we got beat by Georgia, we got beat by Bama, you know, you take it on the chin and you say, okay, this is the first couple years, and then we're going to get better. The schedule's really aligned for us this year, and it's not bad next year. And it's not fair to Elko and his staff because he needs a couple years, right, for what he turned over. I think it's hard as an Aggie going, okay, the stars never align for us. We know they always align in Austin, but not for us. Mm-hmm. Next year, that schedule, no Ole Miss, no Bama, no Tennessee, no Georgia. It's pretty straightforward. I know there's some road games. I get that. But for me, I want to get excited, and I want to say, man, next year could be the year, right? But at the back of my mind, I'm like, golly, it's going to be year 3 when we get this together under Elko. And then all of a sudden, the schedule's going to come out. And now we got Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and we're going to go, oh, my wow.
But, guys, when I look at this schedule, I think it's a manageable schedule. I think it's harder than this year's schedule. Well, let me rephrase that. Your harder games are on the road next year than they are this year. Mm-hmm. This team struggles on the road. Even if they stop that streak this year with 2 road wins, they struggle on the road. That's where I have pause. But I do think if we go position group, I expect them to be better. I expect it to be better just because of the Mike Elko effect. It's going to be better. I don't think Missouri is going to be as good. I think it's a manageable schedule in today's SEC that because I'm an Aggie, I worry about.
Well,
I give you that, yeah.
I think you can also point to this year's schedule, not just ours, but just across the league. Like, it was just sheer chaos in the SEC.
Yep.
And so it's easy to sit here 300 some odd days from, kickoff and say this schedule's going to be hard, this schedule's going to be easy. But, I mean,
we don't know.
We have no idea what these other teams are going to do. Like, what do we expect out of Graham Mertz from Florida? So, and again, so it's a long ways off. Somebody asked me the other day, what were my thoughts on this season, this past season? I was like, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Mm-hmm. It's kind of how I felt, like in that order. But I just think it was tough because of the way we ended. And I think and looking back for me, just the hardest part was looking back, just the Auburn loss. Mm-hmm. Like that one, just if you really look back and just sit there and go, you know what? South Carolina was playing some of the best football in the conference by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Like, so I think South Carolina had at least a legitimate say about the college football playoffs. If you were just talking about best teams at the end of the
100%.
year.
But couldn't you say
Auburn?
Auburn, ridiculous, no doubt. But they're a team that has a lot of talent that I wasn't shocked by the outcome. I was ticked off, no doubt. The Notre Dame game still is one of those that, like, while I can make excuses for, like first game in the Elko regime, Notre Dame, pretty, a team that came back with some really good talent and I still look at that game as like, just have a little bit of offense, you win that game.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of offense. Yeah. But unfortunately, the Connor Wigman we thought we signed up for, we didn't get this year.
No.
Because you could say that about a lot of games, a little bit of offense against Texas.
Yeah.
A little bit.
There was no offense.
Yeah, zero.
None.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it? 40 years since we've been shut out offensively at Kyle Field? 72, I think, somebody researched?
Too long.
That's a long time.
Yeah. I mean, it should be longer, I should say. It should have been, they should have gotten something.
Sure.
But when we look at this schedule, turning the page to this schedule, if Nick can put it up for us so we can look at it, I think that stretch that Billy talked about at 9:35 is the interesting part because you go from October the 11th until South Carolina, November the 15th, without playing at home. Mm-hmm. After Florida, you have you have 2 games at home, but you have 1 SEC game at home the rest of the way.
Yeah. It's really location more than it is opponent. For me, like that's how I look at that schedule because I have yet to be concerned about Arkansas in a long time, and I was at the game when we played there. It's not intimidating, right? They're a lot like a lot of other fan bases. You beat them, or you get up on them, and their fan base kind of quit. Their fan base is Sam Pittman lives to be on the hot seat.
Yeah,
that's his favorite chair in all the world.
Can I read this?
It.
Let me read this, guys. This is kind of funny. My friend B-Rad says he blames the Auburn loss on me because I constantly brought up how bad Peyton Thorne was the year prior.
You know what? I'm okay with that.
Which, by the way, was true.
No, I'm okay with blaming you.
Oh,
yeah, somebody's going to be the fault.
Yeah. 100%. Oh, you're high-fiving him. Okay. Let's see next time you get a call at 3 a.m. to be on this fan show.
Bring 2 toys next time.
Bring you a gift.
You did, yeah.
But I think you're right about that stretch, and Billy was nails on about it. Being away from home is tough. It's nice that you do have the bye week in that stretch, so it's not, an absurd gauntlet. Going to LSU is always going to LSU, man. It's tough. And so it's going to be a night game. Like, we don't have to go ahead and write that in.
You can go ahead and put 6:30 kickoff right now.
Yeah.
So it's what we'll see next year, though, will be interesting because of the stretches that we have away and ending the season in the cesspool. Like, we're going to see where this program is. And I know that we say that every year, like, hey, this game will tell us that and this. But the schedule we have was obviously more favorable this year, especially against a Texas team that made the playoffs, right? Mm-hmm. A Notre Dame team that made the playoffs.
And a South Carolina team that had an argument for the playoffs.
Yeah. And we played them on the road in what is an incredibly hostile environment.
In a night game.
And, of course, a night game. Why wouldn't it be? Yeah. It's us on the road.
That's on my only request. When you look at that schedule, can we just get 11 a.m. where one of their fan bases is half asleep?
Yeah.
Why do we get those night games?
It wouldn't shock me to see the Arkansas game early. I think we were early when we played them.
But you know what I want, though?
What's that?
I agree with you. I just don't want to worry about that. I want to have a program. I don't care if it's at 11 a.m. or 7 p.m., 6:30. Like a program that I believe will win no matter what the situation is. And look, that's what everybody wants.
Yeah. Correct.
But that's what we need to get to as, all right, it's a night game. It's going to be tough, but we should win.
That is a pure culture shift that we just have not gotten there yet.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with you. But right now, pins and needles.
Yeah.
Every week.
And until A&M breaks through. And by the way, to me, breakthrough does not mean one season.
I agree.
It's sustainability is the breakthrough.
But, I look back at just a week ago, we were talking about the recruiting, and we brought in a lot of really good players, and some of those are going to help next year, I believe.
I hope so. Yeah.
Some of them are going to need to help next year.
What I hope is that you can bring them on as they develop to be that guy, right?
Yeah. Am I right? Only one of those is not coming in?
I believe there's only one player that's not moving in.
Which is incredible to get that kind of. They'll all go through spring.
It's weird that it's incredible, but really that's kind of
becoming the norm.
Kind of the new norm.
I agree.
If you go back 5 years ago, you're like, holy crap! This whole even getting half the class on campus.
Yep.
But now, maybe 10 years ago, but now it almost seems like if you're not an early enrollee, you're behind.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, if you don't have your credits up. Yeah. But you said something interesting last week. I've been stewing on for 7 days.
Okay, what did I say?
Boy.
It was.
Can I high five him?
No, he posed the question: what if the bowl game was moved to the spring game?
I got a guy.
And I've been thinking about that.
It's not going to work.
It's never going to work with the networks and everything. But what a concept is! These guys are here in January now, right? If you scheduled Oklahoma State and us in April, you might find out something about who you are.
Yeah.
If we played USC in April with those early guys in, and now you know who's out, because right now, a lot of these guys are bailing, right? We don't know. So I'm intrigued by it, Nuño.
Look, nothing has to change because the networks are making money.
Right.
But as for the fan experience, and I'm actually super excited about Vegas. I am. We'll talk about that matchup here in a minute, but I'm super excited about it. But I just think it can't be that hard to figure out a bowl system that still works. Take away a couple bowl games, bring some, I don't know, like maybe do a second tournament. Like a separate, all right, you didn't make the playoffs, but we're going to have this.
Like the NIT.
Did you see the NIT that was floating out there? That was good stuff.
There's got to be a different model that gets us excited.
Who's in charge of that model, though? The NCAA, right?
Yeah. Well,
so we're stuck with.
Don't get me
so
all
we're
started
stuck.
on them.
So we're stuck.
So you're saying you don't have confidence?
If they change anything, they'll change it for the worse.
Well, if the NCAA changes anything, it'll be for the worse.
Well,
they have a history of that.
Before we hit a break, let's talk about this USC matchup because, as you touched on, Roy, this is a couple of programs with names, right?
going to a cool location that A&M has never played at, a bowl game against a Big Ten, not really Pac-12, but Big Ten team that is going to have, like, I talked to an insider on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
3 or 4 of their offensive linemen not playing. They're starting running back.
Quarterback.
Well, the quarterback should play, no?
I think they said he's hurt. They said he's...
You talking about Miller Moss?
Yeah, oh yeah, Miller Moss.
Miller Moss is not going to play. He's going in the portal.
I don't think they have a running back.
They don't have a running back. Their defense is going to be fine, but their defense wasn't very good.
Yeah.
And I don't care how. I just want A&M to win.
That's
I don't
right.
care if they play all walk-ons or the Reggie Bush's team from 2005. I don't care. I want the feeling of what everybody else, who cares? You guys lost the games that matter. Maybe. But I would much rather have that win than thinking to myself, you lost 4 of your last 5 games. I don't want that going into my spring ball.
No, I agree. And that's the key thing. It's more important to win it. It really is because
100%.
of that. Because you really can't afford to lose it.
You think about the last, 12 years, what we do in November? Well, now we're trickling to December, right? Yeah, you cannot afford that 4th, 5th loss at the end of the season. That's tough.
I know you're going to break, but another thing on my mind is Aggie basketball. We may talk about that later. But
We're going to.
Talk about the Purdue game.
We're going to talk about that. All right, we'll hit a break here. We will come back with much more here on TexAgs Live. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell and online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. They have a great selection of commercial vehicles with service body trucks, flatbed trucks, several medium-duty trucks for those heavier jobs. And they are locally owned and operated here by Aggie alumni. They're the place that I bought our Chevy Tahoe from. The customer service was great. The experience was great. The customer service after the fact was great. Complimentary pickup and delivery. Free oil changes for the life of your vehicle as long as you own that vehicle from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. And, of course, that selection, second to none. You got to check them out. It's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. And we are back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. The Fan Show brought to you by Prize Picks. Gentlemen, let's continue down the football track before we get to basketball. The portal. You guys get to be the GM, all right? And I think I know what the number one pick would be for all you guys, the position group. But let's just kind of go through it. What would be your portal strategy? We'll start off with you, Kay.
I would go edge rusher.
As your number one?
As my number one.
Okay.
I agree with what Luch was saying a while ago about the length. I think there is something valid to that. I think if Elko wants, it's almost like we had two big refrigerators this year. And I think his style is more, give me one anchor on one side, give me the quick on the other. Yep. I would go edge rusher, then we've got to get something else in wide receiver. Yep. That'd be my 1-2.
Royce?
Well, I agree. The edge rusher, and, we're losing the Purdue kid that's from Bryan that did a lot for us this year.
Nick Scorton?
Yeah. And, we got to be able to get a 4th and 1, and that's offensive line. And you've got to, and probably safety, and I do agree about we need another wide receiver. But, we need some bulk up there, and myself, I would have put that quarterback with the ball and had 2 guys pushing him.
Yeah.
But that's another story. But I do think we've got to beef up the offensive line a little bit.
The offensive line, okay. Roy?
This is tough because, from a GM standpoint, I also have to look at what's available, right? You have to look at the portal. There's a million players in the portal, but there's only a handful that you're really honestly looking at.
Difference makers.
Right, yeah, you're looking at a dozen, maybe 2 dozen, right, in the nation that are really straight in, dynamic impact. I don't know that there'd be any order to it.
Best available everywhere.
Yeah, everybody. You got to have playmakers, man. Micah Hudson, I think, is a big one. So you got to have playmakers. You got to have something dynamic on the outside. I love that tight end that they're looking at from, is it Purdue?
Yep.
Purdue tight end. I love that guy. I would kill for an all-world linebacker. We used to be linebacker U, man.
Oh, yeah.
And I would kill for us to get back to that.
Sorry, Michael Riley's from Auburn. You talking about the blocking one?
No.
The other one, okay.
Yeah. I think he's from Purdue. I might be wrong on that. But I think you got to address wide receiver. I think you've got to address somewhere on the defensive line because at the same time, edge, big, in the middle, you want somebody that's 370 pounds and can move, right? Like that's what you want, right? Offensive line, the ability to get 1 yard, I'm not sure that all falls on the talent so much as it falls on the play calling. So I'm still not convinced on that.
I agree.
Line a running back up 8 yards deep when you need a yard. I've never been a big fan of that. But yeah, wide receiver and linebacker would be real high on my list because I like what we've got coming in and coming back at running back. I love that we went and got that quarterback from UAB. I love that.
Jacob Zeno, yeah.
Yeah, huge fan of that. I like our corners. We could use a safety, but for me, it'd be linebacker and wide receiver. Because linebackers, you can give a little defense with the defensive line when your linebackers are just wildly sound.
Yeah.
You look at our great defenses, like you were talking about, that's when we were linebacker U.
Yep.
All right, guys, let's turn the attention for a few minutes to basketball. Huge game coming this weekend. Just your thoughts on what you've seen. Royce, you start us off. Basketball-wise, obviously you're liking the movement right now.
Yeah, and I thought the Tech win was a big one for a number of reasons. They're an old rival. They would love to have knocked us off, and they had a couple of runs, and we held it together. And at the end, when it counted, we stepped up.
Yeah, we did,
and put that game away. And you could see the frustration on their face. And I tell you, I got to mention that one behind the back pass.
Henry Coleman?
Yeah, right. Oh, that was incredible. It was like he almost couldn't have thrown it better, really.
That was a beautiful play.
But plays like that, you're talking about big play people, and that was a big play in that game that I think made a lot of difference. But I like what's happening over there, and I think you were talking earlier about how Buzz has held that team together pretty well, and in a period of time of portal. You look at what he's done.
He deserves credit, a lot of credit for keeping that core nucleus together in a college. And part of it, I'm gonna think out loud that it's the type of player he goes after.
Yeah.
Right. they're not always the 5-star that wants to be in the NBA the next year. I'm sure he would look at those options as well. He gets guys that they want to fit in this puzzle. They want to be a part of this puzzle, and that's why they stay. And there's you can get mad about missing shots and free throws, but he does develop an incredible culture for that team, Roy.
Yeah, just let me add to that, though. I don't know if you've ever heard him talk about his players. He knows an incredible amount about each one of those individuals.
He cares.
Huh?
He cares.
Yeah, he does.
He cares about more than
and
women.
you know what? They know it. They know it. Excuse me.
Yeah, no. Well, I thought it was interesting, and they were talking about this on the broadcast. I believe it was the Tech game. You don't see a roster full of seniors in college basketball because before NIL and before all this transfer portal, basketball was still a one-and-done sport.
Yeah.
Basketball was at the forefront of this insanity. All right. So what he's been able to develop, I thought the Tech game was a huge win for a lot of reasons, for a handful of reasons. One, Tech is a good basketball program. All right. Tech has developed into a very good basketball program. That was a road game. All right. The way that crowd was, that was a hostile environment for it being a neutral site. So, I mean, you put those two things together. I know you'll say, well, Tech was out without its leading scorer. Oh, well, that's basketball. I don't care. I don't care. And to see different people stepping up. Jace Carter, phenomenal game. Somebody fells out. We step right back in. The Garcia and Solo, they were talking about on the broadcast. I mean, they're almost interchangeable. It's like an embarrassment of riches. And it's not just the size and type of player, it's the effort. The next guy that comes off the bench is going to play buzzball. And I know that people get frustrated, and the game threads are hilarious if you ever want to be entertained by some of the biggest cliff jumpers on the planet. Basketball is even worse, all right? Because it's up and down the court the whole time, and they can barely get their posts off before they have to put another one up. I do not engage. But it's not going to be pretty, but you know what you're going to get effort. And when the shots are falling and we get effort, and the way Wade Taylor is able to draw fouls and get to the line, this is a fun basketball team. And there's a reason that everybody has them projected where they have them projected because they're a good basketball team. And you're right. Buzz deserves a ton of credit.
He is fantastic at that. Look, they got to figure out a lot of stuff, Kev, but if they figure it out, this is the kind of team when you've got seniors, you've got guys who've been here for several years, that you do not want to face in the NCAA tournament. They still got some figuring out to be that level of team, but I'm just saying that formula of having a veteran-laced team in the tournament, those teams can go a long way.
100%. They say all the time, if you have a senior leader guard in the tournament, you have a chance Sweet 16 every year, right? Yeah. To have 5, 6, 7 of them at one time, we had to have that game against Tech for the national recognition. It has been an absolute thorn in Coach Buzz's career here. We don't start hot, right? We kind of limp in, then we get hot, and now we're at the mercy of everybody. Where are we placed? So he flipped the script this year, and I'm very proud for him because he has now, with national people watching, beat a really good Tech team. A crazy environment. Our friends that were there were like, dude, you'd have thought we were in Lubbock.
Yep.
The
you could
fans,
tell on the broadcast.
You could.
What they were saying out loud is just barely a step above or below TU. I don't know, or even. But for us to pull that off, but you have these guys, and here's the thing. Anything less than a Sweet 16 with this team will be a letdown for us. This team is built for it. And what's funny is every time I watch Solo, every time I watch Garcia, I'm like, I want that kind of fight at Kyle Field.
Right.
I want that. I want Coach Buzz to walk out on Kyle Field at halftime and be like, all right, I'm delivering the speech. Because he somehow gets these guys. They're on the ground. Their hustle. It's unreal.
Well, we got to hit a break here, but I do want to say the first few minutes of the Texas game felt that way defensively. They were flying.
Oh, correct.
It wasn't sustainable. All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back with our Prize Picks game. Right now, we're talking about the Varsity Grill House. If you're looking for the perfect spot to satisfy your food cravings and hang out with friends, you need to check out the Varsity Grill House there on Highway 6 by the Academy. It is really good food, guys. It's not a sports bar, but it's got a sports vibe to it. You can take your wife there, have a nice date. You can take your kids there. You can take your buddies there and watch games. It is a really cool place with awesome food, great drinks, and they also have some really good desserts as well. Let them cater your needs, top-notch catering services, and they create unforgettable experiences for big events and small. It is the Varsity Grill House, your home for good times and great food. We hope to see you there. Your car wash tradition with the friendliest staff and a personal touch is Aggieland Express Car Wash. They got 2 great locations, the original on William D. Fitch and the brand new one on Texas Avenue South across from the Planet Fitness. They both have all the services you want, but the Texas Avenue location does offer the full-service wash. They'll take care of all the cleaning, the drying, the vacuuming, all the great things that you want to get done. And they have 3 different levels of full-service washes. And we're going to give one free one away. That's a $40 value to the first caller at 979-693-1150. We'll give you that free car wash. Again, it is Aggieland Express Car Wash. They're Aggieland's first green car wash. They recycle 100% of their water. I'm going to read this text from Derm Doc. And I actually agree with him.
Doc.
The Derm. He goes, sorry, guys, but bowl games should be this time of year. Spring is Aggie baseball. Beat the hell out of USC.
Yeah,
I agree. I'm just trying to find ways, guys. I'm just trying to think of, look, we got to get out of the box. We're in the box.
It is okay to try to make something better. Yeah. It is okay to think and brainstorm. It is okay.
I don't want bowl games after the new year, other than playoffs. But
then we need to give them some kind of.
In the spring, I don't mind scrimmages, like open scrimmages, or
NFL does it all the time.
Yeah, and you don't even have to take it to the extent that the NFL does with preseason games and all that. But turn your spring game into one full quarter of live action. Ones on ones, one full 2s on 2s against anybody.
Yeah.
Somebody local, make it easy. Don't spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
U of H, same Houston, just somebody. Like
Rice is available.
Somebody with just a different helmet, different jersey.
But I also understand we don't want to get guys hurt, so I get it. I get it. It's there's not a perfect system.
No.
Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. A guy who knows a lot about 80s sitcoms, I should say, Matthew Dawson.
I don't know a lot about 80s sitcoms.
Webster. Tell me you watch Webster.
I never watched Webster.
Emmanuel Lewis.
Why do you keep asking me this? You know what
That's
the
a different
answer is.
Did you watch Webster?
Yeah.
100%. Did
Absolutely.
You watch? Well, did you? No.
How old are you?
Small wonder.
I'm 23.
Okay, I'm literally almost twice your age, so it's okay that you didn't see Webster.
Thank you, Roy.
We watched Bewitched. That was when he was born.
Yeah, Bewitched was awesome.
I watched Green Acres as a kid, and that was in the 40s and 50s.
Andy Griffith? Was anybody born for that?
Right.
Sorry, maybe.
My kids still watch Andy Griffith to this day.
I'll say my dad did make me watch Dukes of Hazzard, so does that count? Does that count for
the movie or the show?
The show.
Okay.
And given how smart he is, right, and he's got like a steel trap for a mind, right?
Yeah.
He's going to spend like 2 days binging 80s, come back, and start giving you facts about the shows you're talking about.
Willie Ames. Are you familiar with his act?
No, I'm not.
8 is enough. Nicholas Bradford?
Nope. You keep asking me these questions.
Mr. Belvedere?
Oh, Mr. Belvedere. Perfect Strangers, Balky Bartakamos?
Nope.
Oh,
Balky.
Again,
awesome.
the
Very
answer.
underrated.
Brady Bunch.
No, I
Mork and Mindy?
I know what the Brady Bunch is.
Alf?
Nope.
Alf.
Come on, who didn't love
You
Alf?
should look up Alf. It's pretty hilariously bad.
I mean, surely the A-Team, right?
I've seen the A-Team.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
The original Fall Guy.
Valerie, the Hogan family? No?
Nope.
This is a fascinating segment for everyone, I'm sure.
The amount of eye rolling by people driving down the road right now
There's
has got
people
to be.
in our age group, they're like,
You know what? They're going to want to know what's in the cups.
So there are people that have listened to this whole
Sorry.
radio show, and they already got this bit in the first hour.
Yeah,
so.
sorry,
They
Jake
think
Paul.
we haven't been home from the Angry Elephant.
I saw a post this morning. It said, "Is that Christmas spirit I smell?" And it said, "No, it's Rumplemints I'm drinking on the job."
All right.
Okay.
Taylor Swift fans, go ahead. Take over.
All right, well, we're going to do a prize pick segment. We're going to pick more than or less than. We're only going to do 4 this week, right? Kind of a light slate of college football, but we do have to get to the Army-Navy game, of course. We're also going to have 1 NBA play and also 1 NFL play in there to remind people that it's not just college football. They've got soccer, hockey, NHL, or that's the same thing. NFL, literally whatever you want. They got ultimate frisbee stuff sometimes. They got crazy stuff on there. So make sure if you're going to use prize picks, sign up using code TexAgs to receive $50 on your first $5 that you place. So let's get started here. Let's start with Army because I know Roy is excited about this. And I know his answer already. I've already written it down. Is Bryson Daly, the quarterback for Army, going to have more than or less than 128.5 rushing yards?
Captain America is going to go for 170.
I kind of agree with you. More than.
Love that.
More than.
Give me less.
Ooh, all right.
Give me less.
How dare you?
Then let's.
I'm just trying to get Roy fired up.
Rooting against Captain America. That's communism right there.
Yeah, right.
All right, well, Kevin, I'll give you another chance to fire Roy up here. Let's go to the Navy side here. Blake Horvath, the quarterback for them, is he going to have more than or less than 58.5 rushing yards?
I'm going to go more than.
Ooh,
What is he average?
Definitely more than that, but I would say against tougher competition,
yeah.
he has struggled immensely. That's the knock right there.
Okay, well, I'm going to knock. I'm going less than.
Yeah.
All right.
Given,
I'm
yeah.
going less than.
given the defense that I saw Army against Tulane, which is far superior to Navy.
Oh, man.
I got to go Les. I think if Army can maintain that momentum, and again, that weird swing of we won the conference, but we still have Army-Navy, right? So as long as they can maintain that defensive posture, I'll go Les.
Yeah, and also, too, I think clock benefits you, too, running clock.
See, at least I gave a reason for that one.
Yeah, there you go.
Not just Navy bad. But.
Yeah, exactly. No,
Philip texted us, go Navy.
I would probably be on the less then as well if I was y'all. I took actually one of the running backs, Heidenlaker. Gosh,
Oh, yeah, from Navy?
Yeah, Heidenreich, that's what it is. And I took his less than. So I'm with you. I'm with you on the Navy less than there. Let's go to the NBA. I know maybe not everyone's fans here, but everyone knows Jason Tatum, all right? Is he going to have more than less than 26.5 points against the Detroit Pistons? He's averaging 27.4 in his last 5 games. He's hit this mark 3 in his last 5.
More than.
In the last game, he only had 17 points, and that was 5 days ago.
Home or on the road?
I believe they're at home.
More. Give me more.
I want more.
Mo.
Tatum's good, man. I'll go more.
He's legit.
I know what Royce is
so
going to
good,
do. You're going to go more. I can feel it.
Yeah.
I can feel it.
Well, I was going to go more, and y'all all said more, so I was going to.
You want to jinx it, yeah?
No, I'll go more.
All right, more's across the board. I like it a lot. Last one, little Thursday night football action. Tonight, the Rams take on the 49ers. George Kittle, the tight end for the 49ers.
88 yards.
No, 60.5. That's all you got to get.
That's
More
it?
than.
More than on 60.5 for David and Kevin.
I mean, everybody's hurt for 49ers, so it's got to be more than.
Yeah.
They've got to go to him.
Yeah. More than.
With
Roy, you're a
everybody,
fantasy football guy.
with everybody hurt, aren't they going to key in on him though?
Yeah.
I mean, they're on their
Should.
they're on their like 9th string running back who's hurt.
Yeah.
I might add.
I think he's playing tonight.
He's
Garendo.
he's playing.
They
but
said he's going to suit up.
But he's still got a bad ankle, right?
Yeah, or sprained foot. Yeah.
And yeah, the Niners are bruised up, man. Would you say 60 what?
60.5.
Yeah, I got to go more.
Just do it.
Yeah.
You're the fantasy guy here, Roy. Are you in
Feels
the
good.
playoffs, by the way, in your fantasy league? Of course.
He is the playoffs.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah, I live in the playoffs.
So is Kevin. All right.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
I got hosed on the seeding because we put it into divisions.
I kind of wish there was divisions this year. I don't know. I don't know what I think.
Oof.
Go ahead.
There's a
Oh,
segment.
well, that's going to be it.
Do you have an update on standings?
Well, an update on the standings, I guess, would be David, you tied. So what I didn't send Hunter and Roy the picks, which is a little bit unfair. So
Why
I
didn't
kind
you
of
do that? That's me.
because I just
You forgot?
Because life happens,
because
man.
life happens. Finals,
the holiday season.
But this
These
benefits
Swifters,
Roy
man.
though. This benefits Roy. I kind of put their tendencies in a model. Things such as like Roy not liking Texas very much. Hunter more selective towards the less than, maybe Roy. And this week, Roy, based on the model, picking at, I guess, random, went 8-4.
Nice. Yeah, the model's got to be correct.
Yeah, you got to keep going
I
with the
love
model,
the model.
buddy.
Yeah.
And-
Who doesn't love a good model?
And Hunter went 5-7. So that puts David and Hunter tied for first at
How did
80
I do,
wins. You went 7-5. So did Matt
7-5.
Browning.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a good week all around. except for
Browning
Hunter.
has had a turnaround.
Yeah, and guess what? This is a tight matchup for everyone. David and Hunter are tied at first with 80 wins. Matt Browning's in second with 78 wins, so only 2 games back. Roy, you've launched yourself back at 77 wins, so you're still in last place.
Let's go.
But you are right there in the mix. So as bowl season starts, and I feel like bowl season's pretty volatile.
Browning was last place for all the year until he started doing this crazy picking.
Yeah, but this past week he actually just went by strategy, or just went by his actual
This week's
convictions.
strategy.
Well, yeah, whatever that was. Right?
He did the
So-
opposite of what he really thought. And
That's where he started actually making up some ground.
Yeah.
Is when he went against his better judgment.
Correct.
So this thing is
Good plan.
tight heading into bowl season. So we'll see where y'all end up. But that's it for the
bowl
picks
season
today.
is just bonkers, though.
It's going to be bonkers. I love bowl
Yeah.
season.
I'm just
Who
gonna.
doesn't love bowls?
I'm gonna throw this out there and say I might end up in first place.
I wouldn't even be surprised.
Bold statement.
You hear that? That's the entire city turning the station. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
I love bowl
I
season.
thought I heard something.
More football, the better. Just feed it to me. I love bowl season.
Hey, Factory Builder Stores, FBS, we love them. Their team of experts are here to help you find the appliances that make your house a home. I actually was on the phone with them last week. Case, my buddy, works there. He's awesome. He's runs the whole territory, and we're having some service done. He is amazing. They helped us find the right washer and dryer for our house when we moved in a couple years back. Their team is amazing. They have awesome installers, great sales staff. They want to guide you through the purchase and make sure that you get the exact product that you need for your house and for whatever your situation is. We're constantly doing laundry all the time, so we need a certain type of level. Whatever your situation is, they can take care of you.
Visit any of their 8 showrooms across Texas. The one right down here on Welborn is great. Or you can find them online at factorybuilderstores.com. That is factorybuilderstores.com. We are back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner Schulers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody joining us here for the fan show presented by Prize Picks. Gentlemen, we did not really talk about the college football playoffs. What do we as a group, and we can speak for America here today, think about the way it's set up currently, what it's going to look like, and who maybe got the best and the worst draw? All that in about 6 minutes. Kev, what do you think?
I think overall, it's pretty close. I think they've already realized how the seeding went, that needs to be tweaked for the following year. I think South Carolina is the only legitimate complainer on the outside. Bama did it to themselves. Move on. But South Carolina, to me, is the only one. It bothers me, though, strength of record versus, because I agree with a lot of ADs right now. So A&M right now, if you think you're a legitimate 10-win team next year, we have no business going to Notre Dame. That game the juice is not worth the squeeze.
Yeah.
Just play your conference, go 11-1, move on. You're in the playoff, and that's going to change the dynamic if they're not careful. So I'm glad Alabama got out because.
But Alabama got out for losing to a conference team.
Correct.
Right.
They got out. now they're talking, they're looking just like we are. Look who they've scheduled the next 2 or 3 years out of conference. I think overall, South Carolina is the only one that I would go, man, I would bet on those guys if they got in.
Well, but I think SMU has to go based on the way it's written. Even though I think South Carolina would beat them.
Yes.
The way it's written, the conferences need to matter, and they went 11-2, right? Royce.
Well, I think you just made a powerful statement. The way it's set up, this is what had to happen, and that's what's wrong, is it's not set up right. You're talking about the seeding. Just because you won the conference championship should not guarantee you a top 4 seed. Because you can have a number of teams that are a lot better than you. And, I don't know how they do it, but they got to get the politics out of it, because that's a factor with that when these folks are all in there looking. One thing I will say, I like it better than the 4-team playoff.
Yeah.
You're happier this year than you were last year.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's some drama and intrigue.
Right. And you got to say, the first year out, you're going to make some mistakes. Now, the big question is, will they learn from those mistakes and make the necessary changes?
More confidence.
Roy?
Yeah.
He's real confident they're going to make the changes.
I can't stand buys. I think this needs to be 16 teams. I think everybody needs to be playing the first round.
Well, I agree with that.
And if the one plays a 16, so be it. Sorry. All right.
Yeah.
But I don't think there should be buys. Right. I just don't get why those are even exist. Because if you go to 16, you still gonna have the same number of rounds. So you're not having to add another week or anything, right? And I know no matter how many you expand to, if we go to 16, number 17 is gonna be pissed, right? Yeah, I get that. But I think you go to 16, you get rid of the bye weeks. I think.
Yeah, basketball doesn't do a bye. Volleyball doesn't do a bye.
Heck, basketball does play in games.
Yeah.
So I think you've got to get to 16. Everybody plays the first weekend, and you haven't added anything to it. And there's an unfair advantage that I don't think you necessarily earn because you won your conference.
So, do you guys agree with me that Oregon, as the number 1 seed, didn't get screwed, but they have a harder path?
Yeah.
Terrible bracket for them.
Right? Like
correct.
And it's not because it's Texas. It's because
and
it's
who
the 5
accidentally
seed.
got the better.
Well,
bracket.
I mean, we all knew going into it, whoever got the 5 seed had an easier path. But like, I look at that, and it's not an easier path because you play 2 games, because there are injuries that can happen. But I would rather play those 2 games than have Ohio State or Tennessee as my first
100%.
matchup.
Yep.
100%.
Roy?
I think Georgia's got the easiest path to it.
Without their starting quarterback, probably.
With him, without him, I don't know.
I think this other kid, this may be their silver lining.
Well, I don't know. Georgia wins with bad Carson Beck. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they win despite of him,
Yeah.
So for me, I think Georgia's got the easiest path because they get the winner of Notre Dame, Indiana, which I don't think is necessarily anything, no world beaters. And then they get the winner of Boise State and SMU Penn State. Again, that bottom half of the bracket, I think Georgia's got the easiest path.
Yeah.
I think everybody's complaining about where Texas is at. I do think they're going to kind of dog walk Clemson, quite frankly.
And Arizona State?
No, I don't know about that. Scadaboo's no joke. I think Scadaboo, if
How awesome is it watching him run?
That dude
But that defensive line is no joke, too.
Well, I understand that, but he bounces off of dudes. So, but then they've got to pick one of 3, Oregon, Ohio State, or Tennessee. I mean, do you want any of those in front of you? So Georgia, I think, has an easier path out kind of the bottom of the bracket. But again, I'm a 16-team guy, no buys. I think they got to move.
I do like that.
Now, the hardest thing for me, though, is the Aggie. Indiana, Arizona State, SMU have gotten a college football playoff before us.
Well,
that is tough to swallow.
That is tough to swallow. But in the current makeup of college football, of course they did. Because it makes more sense to be in the Big 12 if you have funds than it does to be in the SEC. That being said, you don't want to be left out of the party when it becomes the SEC and the Big 10. You're in the best conference in the world. That's why you're able to do what you do. But
some things you're going to have to just take on the chin.
Yeah. So thank you, gentlemen. Great time.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Always good to be
Navy.
with you.
Dawson, great job, buddy.
Go Army.
All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Live here on a Thursday. Tomorrow, Bronny doing the show. I won't be because I'll be driving to Alabama.